Chapter 734. Alchemy Competition 1. There's no price for this 8th grade recipe. Yunfeng Villa has an alchemy contest. As long as the alchemist wins, he will be able to obtain this spirit concentration pill formula. Yunting had a faint smile on his face as he looked at Li Lingtian. He wanted to know what Li Lingtian was thinking. Yunfeng Villa has an alchemy competition? This is the first time this seat has heard of it. I wonder what are the conditions for participating in this alchemy competition? Li Lingtian's expression froze as he glared at Yunting. How could his subordinates not know about such a thing? As long as you are a spirit pill master, you are qualified to participate. Are you an alchemist? Yunting asked Li Lingtian after he finished speaking. That's right. If he wasn't an alchemist, would this seat still buy a single prescription? Li Lingtian said coldly. His tone was not pleasant at all. If you want to get it, you can take part in the pill refining competition at Yunfeng Villa. Other than competing in alchemy skills, there is no other way to obtain the recipe. Do you want to participate? If you do, Lin introduce you. Yunting was not displeased by Li Lingtian's tone. It was normal for a martial emperor powerhouse and a spirit alchemist to have a strange temper. Then introduce him to me. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment before his expression softened. The alchemy contest will start tomorrow. You must arrive at Yunfeng Villa before noon tomorrow. When Yunting heard that Li Lingtian was a spirit alchemist and would be participating in the alchemy contest, he smiled. He then took out a jade pendant from his storage pouch and cast a seal on it. After everything was done, he handed the jade pendant to Li Lingtian and explained the details of the Yunfeng Villa competition. Following that, Li Lingtian led Tang Qingyue and the others out of Yun Peak Elixir store and returned to the inn. No one spoke along the way. They were all puzzled by what had just happened. Young master, do you think there's something fishy about this? After returning to the inn, Qianjiling could not help but ask. The other girls were also looking at Li Lingtian, curious about what had happened. All of them had come for this spirit concentration pill formula. They had originally planned it in secret, but they had never expected that this matter would actually become transparent. Moreover, it was indeed puzzling that they had to fight at this time of all times. This matter is indeed a little strange. Let me ask Longda and the others. There should be something that we don't know about. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment before he spoke. What had happened just now was indeed strange, and it seemed that Yunting was eager for him to participate in the competition. Although spirit alchemists were not as powerful as saint alchemists, spirit alchemists were already very rare. It was impossible for any random person to be a spirit alchemist. The moment he mentioned the pill formula, the other party sealed his escape route and directly told him about the 8th grade pill formula. This was the first time he had encountered something like this, so he had to be careful. With that said, he cast a formation. After the formation appeared, Li Lingtian continued to cast incantation gestures, and the incantation gestures entered the formation. Soon a mysterious aura disappeared, and so did the array. After everything was done, Li Lingtian and the rest waited for news from Longda and the others. After an hour, Longda Yuneotan and Tianqingzi arrived at the inn and found Li Lingtian. This subordinate greets young master. After the three of them bowed, they stood to the side. He waited for Li Lingtian's instructions but did not seem to have any intention of giving instructions. Do you all know what happened at Yunfeng Villa? Li Lingtian was even more confused when he saw that Longda and the other two did not seem to have any intention of speaking. With the people under Longda, it should be easy to find out some things. Besides, Yunting had told them about the alchemy contest at Yunfeng Villa. It should be an open secret. Did Longda and the others not know about it? My subordinates did not receive any news. There's no movement from Yunfeng Villa at all. There are only many experts heading to Yunfeng Villa. When Longda heard Li Lingtian's question, he understood that there were some secrets in Yunfeng Villa that they had yet to find out. Furthermore, this secret was related to the rank 8 prescription. Yunfeng Villa has a pill refining competition tomorrow. Li Lingtian stood up with a frosty expression on his face. With a flick of his divine perception, he retrieved the jade pendant and tossed it at Longda. Yunfeng Villa has an alchemy competition? Could it be that our identities have been exposed? Longda and the other two were extremely shocked. This matter was too sudden and somewhat difficult to accept. It was originally done in secret, but now it was transparent. It was indeed a little difficult for people to adapt to it for a while. Young master has also been invited to participate in the alchemy competition. Yunfeng looked at the jade pendant and knew that it was a pass. It seemed like Yunfeng Villa had invited Li Lingtian. Otherwise, Li Lingtian would not have gotten the jade pendant. However, they were puzzled. They did not expect to invite Li Lingtian despite the lack of activity from Yunfeng Villa. Not bad. Li Lingtian nodded and began to ponder. Long Da and the others did not know about this, but he knew about it first. He was indeed a little confused. After a long period of contemplation, Li Lingtian made up his mind. Go back to your own places. I will personally go to Yunfeng Villa for this matter. Li Lingtian said calmly before waving his hand to signal the three of them to leave. Since he had already been invited, the other party did not reveal his identity, so he might not know his identity. Perhaps this was a coincidence. After all, the alchemy competition would start tomorrow. Moreover, since he was already here, even if he did not make a move now, the other party would still make him stay after discovering him. Instead of doing this, it was better to go there personally. Even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, he would have to venture into it. After making his decision, Li Lingtian informed Tang Qingyue and the others, and they all agreed with Li Lingshan's plan. The next day, Li Lingtian had Tang Qingyue and the others returned to the Divine Dragon Ring before flying toward Yunfeng Villa alone. Yunpeak Villa was only a few 100,000 miles away from Great Shang Heaven City. With his cultivation, he only needed a few hours. Besides, the competition would only start at noon. It was still not too late to rush to Yunfeng Villa now. Along the way, they met many experts who were heading to Yunfeng Villa. Although he did not greet him as a saint alchemist, he could sense the other party's aura and know the other party's identity. Are you also going to Yunfeng Villa to participate in the alchemy competition? Just as Li Lingtian was about to greet a middle-aged powerhouse who was rushing over from afar, the middle-aged powerhouse spoke. His flying sword sped up as well. He quickly arrived beside Li Lingtian and flew alongside him. That's right. Li Xinyan. It seems that you're also going to Yunfeng Villa. Li Lingtian sized up the middle-aged powerhouse. He was a sixth firmament martial emperor, who exuded a faint wood elemental aura. There was also the unique aura of a pill refiner that he had refined all year round. One look and he could tell that he was an alchemist. In the Mystic Moon Empire, Li Lingshan's name was taboo. Naturally, he would not reveal his real name. I am Nangongyu. I am also going to participate in the pill refinement competition at the Yunfeng Villa. Nangongyu was shocked when he saw Li Lingshan's cultivation base. However, his alchemy skills felt more at ease when he saw Li Lingshan's age. Even if his cultivation base was high, his alchemy skills were not that impressive at his age. At the very least, he could find a balance. I only received the news yesterday. Where is brother Nangong? Li Lingtian observed Nangong's expression and could only smile faintly in his heart. I only received the news yesterday. Nangongyu chatted with Li Lingtian as he flew. As the two of them flew forward, Li Lingtian quietly inquired about some of the things that happened at Yunfeng Villa. In half an hour, the two of them arrived in front of a huge and towering mountain range. The mountain range was extremely huge, and the density of the spirit chi was something Li Lingtian had never seen before. Moreover, there were 3 mountain peaks in the mountain range. The mountain peaks were at least 10,000 meters tall. There was a dense fog sea on them. It was impossible to know how high these mountain peaks were. Below the mountain range there were villages everywhere, but these villages were well organized. By the time Li Lingtian and the others arrived at the foot of the mountain range, there were already countless powerhouses there. All the experts gathered in a small square, waiting for the teleportation array to enter the Yunfeng Villa to open. Welcome everyone. Please wait for a moment. Once the teleportation array is activated, you can enter the villa to participate in the competition. One of the martial emperor powerhouses comforted the other powerhouses when he saw that they were getting impatient. As the backing of the Great Shang Kingdom, the Yunpeak Villa had an extraordinary status. It was also the #1 family clan in the Great Shang Kingdom. To enter the Yunpeak Villa, one had to go through a teleportation array. Otherwise, one would not be able to enter. After Li Lingtian arrived at the plaza, he found a secluded spot to meditate and rest. After waiting for a full hour, a huge teleportation array was activated. All the experts entered the teleportation array. Li Lingtian was aware that apart from the spirit alchemists participating in the competition, there were also some alchemy grandmasters and super powerhouses. There were nearly 1,000 people, but none of them knew the purpose of the Yunfeng Villa holding this alchemy competition. Boom! With a muffled sound, a dazzling light appeared and enveloped everyone. In a flash, Li Lingtian quickly entered the center of the teleportation portal. By the time he reached the center, the teleportation portal had just been activated. In an instant, his eyes lit up and a breeze blew. Everyone had already arrived at the other end of the teleportation array. A short-distance teleportation formation would only take a moment. Such a teleportation formation was only a defense for the family or the sect. If one wanted to enter, they had to go through the teleportation formation. On the other side of the teleportation array was another square, but this square was extremely wide. The square was built in the middle of 3 huge peaks that reached into the clouds. The square that was hundreds of miles wide showed the power of Yunfeng Villa. Chapter 735. Competition Rules 1. The dense spiritual energy wrapped around the mountain peak. It made the Yunfeng Villa seem extremely mysterious, and there were palaces and pavilions everywhere. By the time Li Lingtian arrived at the plaza, there were already thousands of powerhouses and the talented disciples of Yunfeng Villa. The square was no different from the other squares. There was an arena and a viewing platform. All the experts and pill refiners, as well as the spirit pill refiners participating in the competition, separated. Li Lingtian and Nangongyu stood together in the spirit alchemist team. He estimated that there were more than 300 spirit alchemists here. Li Lingtian felt a little relieved when he saw these spirit alchemists because they were basically all invited yesterday. As long as he wasn't targeted, he was relieved. However, he was even more curious. Yun Peak Villa had gathered so many alchemists and experts in such a hurry. There must be something going on. As the #1 clan of the Great Shang Kingdom and also the backing of the Great Shang Kingdom, there was no need for them to act like this. If it was a pill refining competition, it could be held in the Great Shang Kingdom. Even if it was held in the Yun Peak Villa, it would not be so urgent. He gradually paid attention to it in his heart, but he did not show it at all. He looked around with his divine perception. There were Martial Emperor and Martial Saint powerhouses on the square. There were also many peak 9th level Martial Emperor powerhouses. Those who could come here were either alchemists or top-notch powerhouses. Other than the alchemists and powerhouses from outside, there were also the Supreme Martial Saint and Martial Emperor powerhouses from the Yunfeng Villa and some genius disciples. On the high platform, there were powerhouses at the 5th heavenly layer of the Martial Saint realm and above. There were 2 9th heavenly layer Martial Saint elders sitting in the middle. Although the 2 elders' cultivation was not as strong as Yun Aotian's, they were enough to sweep away all the powerhouses in this place. Many experts and alchemists recognized the 2 elders. They were the elders of the Yun family, Yun Ling and Yun Tian. Welcome to Yunfeng Villa. On the viewing platform, an 8th level Martial Emperor stood up and said loudly. His voice spread throughout the entire square, and nearly 2,000 experts heard it clearly. This time I've invited all of you here because the Yunfeng Villa is holding an alchemy competition. The top 10 alchemists with the best alchemy skills can become the guest elders of the Yunfeng Villa and receive rich rewards. The top alchemist can obtain the treasure of the Yunfeng Villa, the recipe of the grade 8 spirit concentration pill. Yun Luo looked at the quiet scene in the square and revealed a faint smile. Then, he told her about the alchemy competition at Yunfeng Villa, and finally threw out tempting conditions. Become a guest of Yunfeng Villa. Grade 8 spirit concentration pill formula? Grade 8 spirit concentration pill formula. There's actually an 8th grade spirit concentration pill formula? When Yun Luo's voice fell, the crowd immediately boiled over. Becoming a guest of Yun Peak Villa was a completely extraordinary status in Great Shang. One had to know that the Yun Peak Villa was the backing of the Great Shang Kingdom. When one became a guest of the Yun Peak Villa, no one would dare to provoke them. This was a powerful backer. Even the most powerful expert would have to consider it when he saw the words Yunfeng Villa. However, compared to the level 8 spirit concentration pill formula, the guest elder of Yunfeng Villa was completely incomparable. Even if not many people could use an 8th grade recipe, this pill recipe could make any alchemist tempted. Even in the divine martial continent, a rank 8 recipe was extremely precious. No one could refine 7th or 8th grade medicinal pills. Firstly, the pill formulas were rare, and secondly, the alchemy skills of the alchemists were not enough. Now that the Yunfeng Villa was going to reward this top-grade 8th grade pill formula, it naturally caused a commotion among all the experts and alchemists. That's right, it's the pill formula for the grade 8 spirit concentration pill. The rules of the competition are that everyone can refine a cauldron of pills on the spot. Whoever produces the best quality pills and has a higher success rate will have a chance to become one of the top 10 alchemists. Then the top 10 alchemists will take an alchemy test at the Yunfeng Villa. The top alchemists will be chosen from the top 10. Yun Luo looked at the shocked expressions of the experts and alchemists below, and revealed a proud expression. Then he announced the rules of the competition. As soon as he finished speaking, there was silence below. No one made a sound. A faint smile appeared on Li Lingshan's face when he heard the rules of the competition. This competition was complete nonsense. The top 10 alchemists with the best alchemy skills would be selected to become guest elders of the Yunfeng Villa. One of them would receive the level 8 spirit concentration pill formula. Next, all the pill refiners who were participating in the competition refined pills on the spot. The other experts looked at the 300 pill refiners refining pills. The people present in the pill refinement competition were all spirit pill refiners. Li Lingshan's mind raced. It was not challenging at all to become one of the top 10 alchemists. His alchemy skills, let alone an alchemist, even a saint alchemist couldn't compare. A saint alchemist competing with a spirit alchemist was just for fun. With his alchemy Dao cultivation, refining level 6 pills was even faster than refining level 5 pills. Boom! At that moment, Li Lingshan's lips curled into a smile as a shocking spirit chi soared into the sky. Spiritual energy soared into the sky. All the experts were extremely excited because when the spiritual energy soared into the sky, it was the spirit infusion. This was the most critical moment to infuse the spirit into the medicinal pill. If the spirit infusion failed, the pill would also fail. If the spirit infusion was not good, the quality of the pill would be affected. Boom! After a short while, Li Lingshan's first spirit imbued assault disappeared. However, the spirit infusion attacks of the other pill refiners appeared. Following that, spirit infusion attacks appeared one after another. The entire square was a beautiful scene. It was like a fairyland. All the experts were mesmerized by it. Do you think they can succeed this time? Yun Ling looked at the spirit infusion attack in the square in front of him. His expression was calm as he spoke indifferently. I hope it succeeds. Yun Tian replied. Their expressions were the same. The other experts didn't know what the two were talking about. They were all attracted by the spirit infusion attack on the square. Collect the pills. Li Lingshan's fingers danced in the air with a confident expression on his face. As the last spell seal fell, he clapped his hand and a stream of true essence was imprinted on the pill cauldron. A jade bottle appeared in his hand. He didn't even look at the pills that flew out and directly put them into the jade bottle. He looked extremely carefree. He put the pill into a jade bottle and wiped it with his hand. The pill cauldron disappeared and he left the square. He came to the viewing platform and handed the jade bottle in his hand to a martial emperor powerhouse. After saying his name, he retreated and waited at the side. From the beginning to the end, he did not even look at the quality of the medicinal pill. His carefree and calm performance immediately impressed countless powerhouses and alchemists. At the same time, they were curious whether Li Lingshan's elixir was successful. Li Lingtian found a quiet spot to meditate and rest. In such a place, one had to constantly recover their cultivation and mental state to their peak. After a full hour, all the pill refiners had finished refining pills. Next, more than 20 martial emperors and martial saints checked the quality of the pills and rated the top 10 alchemists. Countless alchemists and experts were waiting for the results. His face was filled with curiosity. It was already a great honor to be able to see an alchemist concocting pills, let alone seeing so many alchemists concocting pills at the same time. This time it could be considered a grand ceremony in the Great Shang Kingdom. However, this grand ceremony was not held in the Great Shang Kingdom, but in the Yun Peak Villa. Chapter 736. Shocking change. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. The top 10 pill refiners have already come out. After half an hour, the 20 or so super experts checked and selected 10 top 10 pill refiners from the 300 or so pill refiners. Yun Luo then announced loudly. The pill refiners below were all filled with anticipation. As long as he entered the top 10, he would be able to become a guest of the Yunfeng Villa, and his status would skyrocket. The top 10 pill refiners are Nangongyu, Dong Menfeng, Zhou Hao, Zhuge Tian, Li Xianyuan, Bailey Changyue, Tian Wushuang, Pingyu, Wang Muji, Li Yefeng and Zhao Yu. Spirit alchemists who have entered the top 10, please step forward. Yun Luo read out the name list of the top 10. When she read out the names of the spirit alchemists, they all had faint smiles on their faces, and they were all confident smiles. Then the top 10 spirit alchemists walked to the front of the viewing platform. Everyone please move. After Yunling and Yun Tian nodded at Yun Luo revealed a faint smile and shouted at all the experts. She then led everyone to the other side of the square. The square was only a place for competitions or gatherings, but it was not a place that truly welcomed experts and people with status. Li Lingtian followed the other alchemists to the edge of the plaza. Soon all the experts entered a hall. The hall was located on the largest mountain peak. However, this hall was not on the top of the mountain peak but under the mountain peak. It was like a basement. The hall was made of extremely hard rock, giving off an indestructible feeling. At the same time, Li Lingtian sensed that something was not right. There was also a sense of threat. However, he had no idea where the threat came from. However, seeing over 1,000 experts and alchemists together, he didn't have much scruples. Boom! With a muffled sound, the stone door of the hall closed. Just as the stone door of the hall closed, the hall trembled. All the experts shook and could not stand steadily at all. Moreover, dust was flying in the hall, and it was extremely dark everywhere. What exactly happened? What's going on? Yunling, what is the meaning of this? Yintian, what's going on? You fell for it? All of a sudden, all the experts exclaimed in surprise. Those who came here were all martial emperors and martial saints. Only a small number of martial emperors and martial supremes were alchemists. However, over 1,000 experts were swaying in the hall. The entire hall was turned upside down, making people feel extremely uncomfortable. All the experts shouted, but Yunling, Yuntian, and the others did not answer. Boom! Another muffled sound rang out, and all the experts' hearts trembled. They were almost mentally injured. It was as uncomfortable as falling from the sky onto a hard rock. Fortunately, the hall was no longer shaking. The optical fiber in the hall was still extremely dim. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh. A few subtle sounds rang out. In the hall, more than 10 crystals flashed with light, instantly illuminating the entire hall. In the hall, all the experts were present. Yunling, Yuntian, and the others were also here. However, they did not say anything at this moment. Their expressions were also extremely calm, as if everything was within their expectations. The only thing was that the countless talented disciples of the Yunfeng Villa had long disappeared. In other words, in this hall, other than Yunling and Yuntian, the others were all foreign experts and pill refiners. Yuntian, what do you mean by this? Could it be that your Yunfeng Villa is able to toy with all the experts just by hosting an alchemist competition? A seventh sky martial saint looked at Yunling and Yuntian with an extremely ugly expression. As he questioned Yuntian, all the other experts and alchemists looked at the two of them. All the geniuses of Yunfeng Villa had left, leaving only the alchemists and experts here. As long as one was not a fool, they would understand what was going on. Everyone, I'm sorry. Yuntian had a faint smile on his face as he waved a hand, signaling the experts below to be quiet. The experts below cooperated and no one said anything else. At this time, Yunfeng Villa was the master. No one dared to provoke Yunfeng Villa. There are indeed 10 good alchemists in this competition. Yunfeng Villa needs to refine a type of pill, a level 8 pill. Yuntian looked at the experts below who did not speak, and the smile on his face became even wider. Tier 8 medicinal pill? You want to refine a Tier 8 medicinal pill? Yunfeng Villa wants to refine a Tier 8 pill. Is that possible? Tier 8 medicinal pills require a Tier 8 pill saint to have the opportunity to refine. The Yunfeng Villa wants to refine a level 8 pill? Isn't this a joke? That's right. Even the saint alchemists of the 3 empires can't refine a Tier 8 pill. For a moment, everyone was shocked when they heard Yun Tian's words. The spirit alchemists were even more shocked because they knew the power of a level 8 pill. Not any pill refiner could come into contact with it. Even the saint alchemists of the 3 empires might not be able to refine it. Now the Yunfeng Villa actually wanted to refine an 8th grade medicinal pill. Wasn't this like a joke? The Yunfeng Villa has developed a pill that can help one break through to the martial god realm. A grade 8 reincarnation pill can help a 9th heavenly layer martial saint to reach the martial god realm. However, it still requires some materials and procedures. It also requires some spirit alchemists to refine it together. Yun Tian said calmly as if he was talking about a very ordinary matter. Little did he know that the experts and alchemists below were all stunned. Even Li Lingtian, who was a divine alchemist and a super divine alchemist, was stunned by Yun Tian's words. An 8th grade medicinal pill was able to break through to the martial god realm. Wasn't this too heaven-defying? Even a grade 8 spirit concentration pill could only increase the probability of 1% of a 9th heavenly layer martial saint breaking through to the martial god realm. The reincarnation pill that Yun Tian had mentioned could actually break through to the martial god realm. From the looks of it and his expression, it was 100% possible for him to break through to the martial god realm. If he could refine such a pill, the Yunfeng Villa would be able to produce countless martial god realm experts. The Xian continent and the divine martial continent would be the world of the Yunfeng Villa. At the thought of this, his heart could not help but tremble. If countless martial gods really appeared, the world would be in chaos. At that time when this medicinal pill appeared, the world would be filled with slaughter. Grade 8 reincarnation pill. Breakthrough to the war god realm. Is there really such a pill? We need materials. Even your Yunfeng Villa couldn't find them, but we don't have them either. Even if you need materials, do you need to do this? We are not alchemists. Open the stone door of the hall. We want to leave. Yes, although the 8th grade pill is very good, I don't need it. Open the door of the hall and let's go out. Hearing Yun Tian's words, all the experts and spirit alchemists were stunned. However, the experts who came here were all martial emperors, martial supremes, and martial emperors. They were extremely knowledgeable. Naturally, he could feel that something was not right with the Yunfeng Villa this time. It was definitely not a good thing to gather everyone here and even mention the level 8 pill. Such a secret, if heard, would most likely be silenced. Moreover, after the shaking in the hall just now, they all understood that the hall had definitely shifted and was no longer where it started. At this time, before they completely fell out, they did not want to understand the situation. Do you think it's possible? At this moment, this hall has already entered the Yin River, 100 miles underground. Even a heaven-defying martial god expert can't leave this hall. After leaving this hall, you will be drowned by the Yin River. If this pill is not refined, everyone should wait here quietly. Yun Ling said at this moment, his eyes filled with coldness. It was like a demon beast that was choosing people to eat, causing people to tremble. The people here were all martial emperors and martial saints. There were only a few martial honors. However, in front of a 9th heavenly layer martial saint, everyone was like trash. Moreover, this place was the territory of the Yun Peak Villa. They did not have the slightest capital to fight with Yun Ling. Li Lingtian looked at all the powerhouses and they all had fearful expressions on their faces. They were equally shocked. The Yin River was a hellish existence, not far from the netherworld. On the other side of the Yin River was the underworld, and on this side were the humans. Moreover, the corrosive power of the Yin River water was extremely terrifying, even more terrifying than the icy frost flame. If they accidentally entered the Yin River, they would die. He finally understood now. The reason why Yunfeng Villa had gathered all these alchemists and experts, and why they had quietly gathered together, was definitely because they did not want other experts to know. His goal was to refine this reincarnation pill. If the reincarnation pill was successfully refined, a few martial god realm experts would appear in the Yunfeng Villa. At that time they would be able to dominate the Black Continent and sweep the world. He was one of the unlucky ones. Yun Tian Yun Ling, as the rulers of Great Shang, You actually dare to deal with the people of Great Shang like this? You've offended all the experts in the world. Aren't you afraid of provoking public anger? I advise you to send us up. Will you pretend we didn't see anything? That's right. Whatever reincarnation pill you concoct has nothing to do with us. Some experts who did not know life and death had not given up on challenging Yun Tian at this time. However, they didn't think about how the Yun Peak Villa would be worried about the experts of the Great Shang Kingdom if they brought everyone here. Would he still be worried about inciting public anger? He didn't have to worry about this at all. When the Yun Peak Villa produced a few martial gods, even the Mystic Moon Empire wouldn't dare to say anything. Die! Yunling's cold voice rang out. The entire hall instantly turned cold, as if they had entered a glacier. Several destructive forces shot towards the expert who spoke. The speed of the force was extremely fast, and it directly locked onto the aura of the expert. There was no possibility of dodging. A series of miserable cries sounded. The few experts who spoke were instantly destroyed by a few streams of energy. The force carried a terrifying destructive power and a corrosive power. This corrosive power made all the experts lose their will to resist. All the experts could clearly see that the two people who came were two half-illusory figures. Their bodies emitted a faint dark aura, and their bodies carried a dense death aura. There was almost no flesh on their faces, as if they were wrapped in a leather bag. His appearance was extremely ugly, but the terrifying and powerful aura on his body made all the experts tremble from the bottom of their hearts. Hearing Yun Tian and Yunling's words, they were both disappointed and desperate. Needless to say, the two people who had come were Yun Longya and Yun Zhongtian, the two most powerful elders of the Yun family in Yun Peak Villa. Li Lingtian was shocked as well. This aura had already surpassed the 9th firmament martial saint realm, and was one step into the martial god realm. However, he did not know what was missing to become a true martial god powerhouse. It seemed that this pill refinement was because of these two people. To gather experts to refine pills in such a hurry, it should be these two people who needed that reincarnation pill. Yes, how is it? Yun Longya coldly looked at all the experts in the hall. He coldly nodded and then asked Yun Tian. It's already prepared. After they familiarize themselves with it, we can start refining medicinal pills. Yun Tian replied. He completely did not care about the thousands of experts present. He simply did not put these experts in his eyes, as if they were dead people. Get ready. Yun Zhongtian nodded, and the two of them walked towards another stone door in the hall and disappeared behind it. Then the stone door of the hall closed again. Yun Tian separated everyone and arranged them to one side. They were scattered in another stone room on the side of the hall. Li Lingtian and the others were also brought to an alchemy room. The pill refinery room was no longer a pill refinery room. It was like a small square. This is the recipe for the reincarnation pill. You'd better comprehend it within 3 days. Yun Tian took out a jade slip and threw it out. His face was cold as he said coldly. With that, he turned around and left the alchemy room. The stone door closed and the 10 spirit alchemists were locked inside. Nangong Yu and the others smiled bitterly. They did not expect such a thing to happen and did not expect Yunfeng Villa to do such a thing. Most of the people here would be killed by then. Yun Peak Villa would not let anyone leak the secret. As an expert, he would understand these things even if he didn't need to say it. Now the only thing he had to do was to refine the pill, hoping to join the Yunfeng Villa and escape. In the pill refining room, it was completely monitored by others. There was no chance for people to discuss at all. Moreover, in this place even secret voice transmission could not be used. Reincarnation pill. The spirit alchemists read the jade slips one by one, and imprinted the information of the reincarnation pill formula into their minds. After Li Lingtian obtained the pill formula, he read through it with his divine consciousness and was extremely shocked. Although this pill formula was somewhat incomplete, he was still clear about the power of this pill formula with his pill Dao skills as a saint alchemist. Moreover, he also knew that most of the people from the Yunfeng Villa had changed the information about the incomplete parts of the pill formula. They naturally would not let outsiders know about such a precious pill formula. The medicinal herbs in the reincarnation pill were extremely precious. It was a magical medicinal pill in the 8th grade pill formula. It was also the most vicious and evil medicinal pill among the Tier 8 pill formulas. It required the vital essence, blood essence, and lifespan of countless experts as supplementary materials. The pills refined were basically made by absorbing the vital essence of countless experts. It would be strange if such a pill that gathered the lifespan and true essence of countless experts was not heaven-defying. Even if he was a saint alchemist, he had also never heard of such a terrifying and vicious medicinal pill. However, there were a few mysterious refining methods in the pill formula that could increase the cultivation of a 9th heavenly layer martial saint to break through to the martial god realm. Li Lingshan's face lit up with excitement at the thought of this. If he were to modify some parts of this pill formula and combine it with the coagulate spirit pill, he could similarly break through to the martial god realm from the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. Although its power wasn't as heaven-defying, it still had a 50% chance of becoming a martial god. As a super saint alchemist, even at such a dangerous moment, he couldn't help but be excited about this reincarnation pill. For a moment, his divine sense kept remembering the pill formula and slowly engraved it into his sea of consciousness. When he obtained the congealing spirit pill, he would study and fuse the reincarnation pill with the congealing spirit pill. After memorizing the reincarnation pill's formula, Li Lingtian did not say anything but began to comprehend it. Usually, he did not specially comprehend the pill formula. He did not expect that there would be such a good opportunity this time. Seconds passed. 3 days passed, and the stone door of the pill refinement room opened. Yuntian and the others appeared in the pill refinement room. Chapter 738. Identity Revealed. 1. Please reading Omicronen's novel. Omicron Li Lingtian and the rest's expressions turned grave when the 4 figures appeared. This was because the critical moment had arrived. If the pill refinement failed, they would die here. If the pill refinement succeeded, there would be very little chance of leaving. Yuntian, Yunling, Yunlongya, and Yunzhongtian were 4 9th heavenly layer martial saints. When they arrived at the center of the alchemy room, the 4 of them looked at Li Lingtian with a faint smile in their eyes. Li Lingtian had a bad feeling when the 4 of them stared at him. It was as if he had been seen through, but Li Lingtian did not dare to make a sound lest he became the first to stand out. Saint Alchemist Lingtian. The smile on Yuntian 1's face grew wider as he stared at Li Lingtian. The corners of his mouth curled up as he called out Li Lingshan's name. A few simple words almost knocked Li Lingtian down. He had really been seen through. However, he did not know when he had been seen through by the other party. Could it be that he had seen through his identity before Yun Peak Villa? Pill Saint Master? Alchemy Saint? Super Saint Pill Refiner Lingtian? Sir Lingtian who refines peerless medicinal pills. You can refine a peerless grade great cyclic pellet. Super Saint Pill Refiner Lingtian? Could it be, could it be? The other 9 spirit alchemists also heard Yuntian's words clearly. Upon hearing Yuntian's words, they were all shocked. Their eyes followed Yuntian's gaze and landed on Li Lingtian. When they saw Li Lingtian, they could not help but reveal a shocked expression. Li Lingshan's name shook the entire Mystic Moon Empire. Powerful heaven-defying methods, terrifying cultivation, and magical alchemy techniques. The pills that were refined were peerless and mutated, becoming a miracle in the divine martial continent. He did not expect this legendary figure to be here. Furthermore, he did not even know that Li Lingtian was by his side. At this moment, Li Lingshan's identity was exposed. Everyone was shocked and their eyes were filled with admiration. That's right, it's me. I wonder when the few of you recognized me? Li Lingshan's expression was calm as he looked at Yuntian and the others. The aura from his entire body erupted. His shocking aura filled the entire pill refinement room until it continuously trembled. This kind of aura was innate and could not be underestimated by anyone. The aura of a 9th level martial emperor had actually reached the level of a martial saint powerhouse. However, the terrifying aura spread out and did not intend to attack. He was curious. No one knew that he had come to Great Shang from the Carefree Empire. Even if they knew, it was only Longda and the others. He naturally did not doubt the loyalty of Longda and the others. Sir Lingtian lives up to his reputation. You want to know how we know your whereabouts? It's actually very simple. No matter what identity or disguise an alchemist has, they will be seen through. Naturally, we know of the identity of the Saint Alchemist Sir Ling Tian. I never thought that Saint Alchemist Ling Tian, the ruler of the carefree empire, would actually come to my great Shang kingdom. I'm really curious. However, we don't want to know anything else. I think you're here for the congealing spirit pill. As long as you can refine the reincarnation pill, I can give you the recipe for the congealing spirit pill. You can also check it first. With you, alchemy saint. Here we won't be in a hurry to refine pills. Yun Tian had a faint smile on his face as his eyes revealed a serious expression. The average powerhouse might not know how terrifyingly Ling Tian was, but these martial saints were well aware of it. Whether it was his alchemy skills or his cultivation strength, they all made people feel fear. As soon as he finished speaking, a jade slip was tossed at Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian made a grabbing motion with one hand. He no longer looked at the four martial saint powerhouses and closed his eyes slightly. His divine consciousness had already entered the jade slip. This action shocked all the alchemists and the four powerhouses from the Yun family. To be able to be so calm in this situation was really not simple. However, the four super martial saints had no intention of attacking Li Lingtian, because they still needed Li Lingtian to refine the pills. Moreover, even if they were to launch a sneak attack at this moment, the four of them were not confident that they could kill Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian scanned the jade slip with his divine consciousness and read through all the information. It was indeed the pill formula for the Grade 8 Spirit Concentration Pill. However, there was a layer of restriction at the back. He needed to break this restriction to know if the pill formula was true or not. Swoosh! Without the slightest hesitation, Li Lingtian withdrew his divine consciousness. One after another, he cast a spell and pointed it at the jade slip. Yun Tian was stunned when he saw that Li Lingtian was about to break the seal. Just as he was about to speak up to stop him, Yun Zhongqian, who was beside him, gestured for him to keep quiet and allow Li Lingtian to cast the magic art. After a full 5 minutes, Li Lingtian's spell stopped. His divine sense entered the jade slip again and read the last piece of information. That's right, the pill formula for the Tier 8 Spirit Concentration Pill. Li Lingtian nodded. The Tier 8 Spirit Concentration Pill formula was not fake at all. Since there was no problem with the recipe, Li Lingtian stored the jade slip into the divine dragon ring. This action stunned all the alchemists, including Yun Tian and the others. They did not expect Li Lingtian to be so direct. Li Lingtian's actions had completely exceeded everyone's expectations. In their opinion, Li Lingtian would never agree to Yun Tian's request. Even if he did, he would not agree so readily. However, it was completely unimaginable for them to directly put the pill formula into their pockets like this. Sir is straightforward. Yun Tian's expression changed when he saw Li Lingtian take the pill formula away. However, he soon recovered and a faint smile appeared on his face. By keeping the jade slip, Li Lingtian had agreed to refine the elixir. Of course I'm straightforward. This lord is here for this pill formula of the spirit concentration pill. Now that the pill formula is in this lord's hands, don't tell me you still want this lord to take it out? Tell me, how do you want to deal with me? I am the ruler of the carefree empire. Sooner or later, I will be the enemy of your great Shang kingdom. Furthermore, you are currently refining the reincarnation pill. I cannot tolerate anyone here. I naturally won't be so foolish as to rely on you to let me go. Li Lingtian smiled as his aura grew stronger and stronger. His current aura had already reached the 4th firmament of the martial saint realm. All the experts were shocked by this situation and change. They were getting more and more shocked. As he spoke, he looked at Yun Tian. Then his gaze slowly shifted to Yun Longye and Yun Zhongtian. These two were the true opponents. They were at the peak of the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm, and had 1 foot in the martial god realm. If they had the help of medicinal pills, they would be able to become true martial god realm experts. Although this awkward realm was very awkward for them, it was indeed not good for other experts. People like Yun Zhongtian were the so-called pseudo-martial god. No matter how powerful a 9th heavenly layer martial saint was, the power of a pseudo-martial god could easily kill a few. In other words, 3 or 4 peak 9th heavenly layer martial saints would not have the slightest confidence in fighting against a pseudo-martial god realm expert. Instead, they would be in danger of being killed. Moreover, the strongest among all the experts here was only at the 8th sky of the martial saint realm. The rest were just ordinary martial emperors and martial saints. If they wanted to fight against the few experts of the Yunfeng Villa, they would simply be waiting for death. Haha. Haha. Before Yun Tian could say anything, Yun Longya laughed loudly. There was no flesh on his face. His smile was like a ghost. Li Lingtian now understood what it meant to look uglier when smiling than when crying. This smile was enough to scare a timid warrior to death. Yun Longya laughed loudly. All the alchemists were terrified. They didn't know what Yun Longya was going to do, or what methods he had to deal with them. Sir Lingtian, even though we've been in closed-door cultivation all year round, we've heard of your name. Sir Lingtian wouldn't believe us if we agreed to leave this place. We wouldn't do that either. I can promise Sir Lingtian that no matter if you fail or not, you can leave this hall safely if you can defeat any one of us. The matter between the Carefree Empire and the Great Shang Kingdom has nothing to do with us. If we break our promise, the cultivation of Yunfeng Villa and all the descendants of our Yun family will never advance. Everyone, be struck by the heavenly lightning and be corroded by the inner demons. Yun Longya's expression was extremely serious when he finished speaking. Everyone was extremely shocked. They did not expect Yun Longya to make such a venomous oath. For a family, for a country, for a supreme expert, to be able to make such a venomous oath was truly unimaginable. This was because for experts, if their cultivation could not advance by an inch, it would be worse than death. Li Lingtian was surprised as well, but he was furious. The 4 people here were all at the peak of the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. He was only at the 9th heavenly layer of the martial emperor realm. The difference between the two of them was huge. It may seem like a vicious oath, but it was useless against Li Lingtian. A martial emperor challenging a 9th firmament martial saint was simply a dream. Following that, all the alchemists realized the same problem. Li Lingtian was a super saint alchemist and he used to be incredibly powerful. However, he had never fought against a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. Now the powerful warriors of Yunfeng Villa had made such a venomous oath, which had no binding force at all. However, the fact that Yunfeng Villa was willing to swear such a venomous oath was enough to prove how much they valued Li Lingtian. You sure know how to joke. However, I can trust you this once. The anger on Li Lingtian's face slowly disappeared as his aura gradually calmed down. He glared at Yun Longya. Although the other party was already a pseudo-martial god, he was still indispensable in refining pills at this time. At least, before the reincarnation pill succeeded, the few of them would not dare to make a move on him. At least they would not make a move openly. Chapter 739. Alchemy Saint Master Yundao, please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. Alright, since Sir Lingtian has agreed, I believe the success rate of the pill will be even higher. We will start refining the pill now. Everyone try your best to cooperate. Yun Tian breathed a sigh of relief when Li Lingtian agreed. Previously, he did not know about Li Lingtian's existence, so the chances of him successfully refining the pill were very slim. However, the fact that they had discovered Li Lingtian among the alchemists made the powerhouses from Yunfeng Villa ecstatic. With Li Lingtian's heaven-defying presence, the success rate of refining the reincarnation pill was increased by countless times. There was at least a 50% chance of success. Now that Li Lingtian had agreed, they were relieved. If Li Lingtian did not agree, the pill would not succeed even if he was killed. As he spoke, he looked at the other 9 spirit alchemists. Compared to Li Lingtian's treatment of other spirit alchemists, it was a stark difference. The spirit alchemists could only smile bitterly in their hearts. This was the difference. Li Lingtian was the divine martial continent's miracle. A super-divine alchemist who was capable of refining peerless mutated pills. Even a level 8 divine alchemist would not dare to claim that he was stronger than Li Lingtian. Even the war god would give some face to such a person. On the other hand, they were merely a spirit alchemist. Although spirit alchemists were precious, they were nothing compared to a monster like Li Lingtian. Following that, Yun Tian's group of 4 led Li Lingtian out of the elixir refinery room and into another place. Walala! Boom! Boom! They entered a stone room that was 1,000 meters in radius. This stone room was surrounded by pitch-black stone walls, and below it was endless Yin River water. Explosions kept coming from the Yin River. Destructive explosions brought with them Yin energy. Fortunately, there were a few mysterious formations in the center of the stone room, which blocked the Yin River's Yin energy. Li Lingtian sized up the stone room roughly. It was 1,000 meters in radius. In the center was a bottomless abyss with a radius of 100 meters. Underneath the abyss was the Yin River. The Yin energy and rumbling sounds came from the abyss. The reincarnation pill uses the Yin and Yang energies as the foundation. Not bad. This place is indeed a good place to refine the reincarnation pill. Your Excellency Yun Zhongtian, I think it's time to call out the Saint Alchemist of your Yun family. Li Lingtian looked around the stone chamber. He was extremely relaxed and his face was calm and collected. He did not look like he was forced to refine pills but was enjoying the scenery leisurely. Li Lingtian spoke to Yun Zhongtian with a faint smile on his face as he surveyed the stone chamber. With his hands behind his back, he was no longer that young man, but a grandmaster with indomitable spirit. He was a grandmaster who could not care less about anything in the world. As he spoke, he looked straight at Yun Zhongtian. He did not treat Yun Zhongtian as a fake martial god at all. Instead, he treated him as a martial artist of the same generation. As soon as he finished speaking, the few spirit alchemists were instantly shocked. Only the 3 great empires of the mystic continent had a saint alchemist. It was impossible for the great Shang kingdom to use a saint alchemist. Why was Li Lingtian so sure that the Yun family had a saint alchemist? If the Yun family had a saint alchemist and the world did not know about it, then the Yun family scheme could be imagined. Silence. Silence. The stone chamber was completely silent because of Li Lingtian's words. Yun Zhongtian and the others did not speak either. Instead, they looked at Li Lingtian. Ha 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 ha. As expected of an alchemy saint. From this place I can see the depth of the other party's alchemy Dao. Yun Zhongtian looked at Li Lingtian seriously as his calm expression turned into surprise. Then he laughed loudly. His eyes flashed with excitement. To be able to see the art of alchemy from this array formation and the power of heaven and earth, it was indeed heaven-defying. Then, he did not deny it and clapped his hands twice. As soon as he finished speaking, the array in the center of the stone room fluctuated. Crash. A white-haired old man appeared out of nowhere from the array. Completely ignoring the array's existence, he penetrated the array and came to the sky above the abyss. He hovered in the air and stared at Li Lingtian with a pair of sharp eyes. The powerhouse from the abyss had a gaze that was as sharp as a sword as it swept across Li Lingtian. Pseudo-martial god. Another fake martial god. The Yun family's fake martial god was actually the 3rd fake martial god. The Yun family was too heaven-defying. Not to mention the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm, there were actually 3 pseudo-martial god realm fellows. If other kingdoms or empires knew about this, they would be shocked. A fake martial god couldn't compare to a martial god, but he was still heaven-defying. Dang 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 dang. Li Lingtian's eyes were like lightning. He felt as if his heart had been struck by a heavy blow as he took a few steps back. He was extremely shocked. This gaze was so terrifying. Fortunately, his divine sense was heaven-defying. If it was an ordinary martial emperor or martial saint, he would have been killed by this gaze. However, he didn't use his most powerful divine sense. If he used all his divine sense, he could completely block it. Similarly, he didn't use the eye of the divine soul. Otherwise, even if this old man didn't die, he would at least lose half his life. The two of them looked at each other. Gradually, their eyes became calm. Alchemy Saint, Super Alchemy Saint. You're indeed not simple. The white-haired old man said indifferently. His body emitted a dark aura, as if he had crawled out of hell. You're not simple either. You're actually able to reach the saint rank by dual cultivating array formations in alchemy. Li Lingtian was shocked to the core. The white-haired elder before him was actually a master in both alchemy and arrays. He had completely integrated alchemy and arrays. No wonder the Yun family had come to refine the reincarnation pill. The Yun family was indeed powerful. In this world, all the superfamilies were extremely abnormal. No matter what kind of experts or abnormal characters existed, this could also be considered as gaining some knowledge. In the future, when he faced a super family, he still had to be extremely careful. Haha, Sir Ling Tian is indeed not simple. If you and I join forces, this world will be ours. I wonder if Sir Ling Tian has such plans. Master Cloud Dao looked at Li Ling Tian with an excited expression. He was an array Dao expert and an alchemy Dao expert. It was impossible for Li Ling Tian to hide in front of him. He could tell that Li Ling Tian was also a powerhouse who cultivated both alchemy, Dao and array. Moreover, his cultivation in alchemy, Dao and array was not inferior to his. If he were to join forces with such a powerhouse, the world would be in their hands. Haha, you must be joking. Look at my status and situation. Do you think it's possible? Li Ling Tian burst into laughter. He wanted to unify the entire Xian continent and sweep the world, but he would not join forces with others. Moreover, given the current situation, he would not be so foolish as to agree. His situation was like a prisoner. Even if the other party wanted to join forces with him, there were many restrictions. They would definitely do something to him. Moreover, a family like the Yun family, such an ambitious family, would definitely not leave behind anyone who could threaten the family. Indeed, although we have a favor to ask of you, we won't lie to you with flowery words. Your situation is indeed not good. But if possible, my Yun family will not be your enemy. If possible, the Yun family will not touch you for 10 years. In this world, it is up to us to decide. Master Cloud Dao looked at Li Ling Tian with a glint in his eyes. This situation puzzled Sky Cloud and the others. They were both supreme experts of the Yun clan, and as elders, their status was extraordinary. However, even they hadn't seen Master Cloud Dao so excited. Your idea is indeed very tempting. Let's refine the pill first. Let me see how powerful your alchemy Dao is. Li Ling Tian maintained a smile on his face. His expression was calm and unperturbed. He was not tempted at all. What he wanted to do, naturally, he would not join forces with others. Even if the other party's words were exaggerated, he would not believe it. It was better to refine this medicinal pill first before thinking of a way to leave this place. Moreover, with his alchemy Dao strength, it was still possible to do some tricks when refining pills. Since things had come to this, they could only take it one step at a time. All right. Master Cloud Dao nodded in agreement. With a wave of his hand, he left the sky above the abyss in a flash and arrived before Li Ling Tian. Afterward, Master Cloud Dao ordered the 9 spirit alchemists to surround the abyss. In the middle, Yun Zhongtian and the other 3 were also there. Every spirit alchemist was surrounded by people from the Yun family. At this moment there were 9 spirit alchemists, 2 saint alchemists for peak 9th heavenly layer martial saint experts, and more accurately, 2 pseudo-martial god experts. 15 people surrounded the abyss and sat cross-legged. Heaven and earth become one, yin and yang reincarnate. Master Cloud Dao saw that everyone was in position, and he quickly waved his hands. One spell after another appeared in front of him. Then the spell was pointed towards the abyss. Instantly, the Yin river in the abyss trembled and roared. The Yin nether chi soared into the sky, but when it encountered the array formation, it was blocked. Even if the destructive Yin nether chi was blocked by the array formation, the experts outside still felt a little uncomfortable. Boom! When the nether chi appeared, the scorching sun chi had to appear as well. Only in this way could the balance between Yin and Yang be achieved. Li Ling Tian watched as Master Cloud Dao continued to cast spells that could only be understood by a holy array master. As the spell was cast, a light appeared in the sky above the stone room, as if it came from the 9 heavens. At the same time, a huge amount of true essence and vitality energy came from the sky. Li Ling Tian was stunned when he sensed the vitality and true core strength. He was shocked. The Yun family really used the true chi and vitality of the experts outside to refine pills. This method of refining pills was extremely vicious. It completely absorbed the true essence and vitality of experts to act as the power of the blazing sun. However, at this moment he could not stop anything. He could only watch as the enormous power of the blazing sun soared into the sky. He roughly estimated that the power of the scorching sun was at least the true essence and vitality of 10 martial saint experts. Moreover, it was continuously supplied. He did not know how many experts it would destroy. Li Ling Tian could only feel shocked when he saw this. For the sake of the world, the Yun family would not hesitate to commit such a heinous act. I recommend to my good friend Savage Sword's fantasy work, The Evil Lord of the Sword. It's the work of a great god. It's super good and worth reading. Chapter 740, True Dragon's Blood 1. Please reading Omicron's novel. Omicron. Taking a deep breath, Li Lingshan's expression became even calmer. The Yun family had committed such a heinous crime, but he had participated. Although he had been forced to do so, he had personally witnessed the Yun family using the true chi of martial artists to refine pills. However, he quickly calmed down because this was how the world was. The strong were respected. It was the same for his devouring light and the 5 elements reincarnation. No matter what method they used, they would kill their opponents. Although the Yun family was vicious, it was normal in this world where the strong were respected. A huge amount of true essence and vitality turned into scorching sun energy and entered the stone room. Phew! Boom! The nether chi and the sun chi collided, and a strange scene appeared in the stone room. The abyss was also constantly churning, and a mysterious aura was constantly emitted. Reincarnation cauldron, sacrifice. Master Cloud Dao looked up at the aura, a serious expression on his face. Only after his aura calmed down did he feel slightly relieved. Then he used his divine sense and took out a huge pill cauldron. The cauldron was emitting traces of an ancient aura. This cauldron was already a pretty good saint artifact. Li Lingtian was curious when he saw the cauldron. Based on his cultivation and alchemy experience, he roughly knew the origin of this cauldron. Just as Master Cloud Dao had said, this pill cauldron was the reincarnation cauldron. In the Tao of alchemy, the reincarnation cauldron was also a good alchemy treasure. In the hands of other alchemists, it would be like a precious treasure. However, Li Lingtian might not want it even if he gave it to him. After all, the Shinong cauldron and the heaven and earth creation cauldron in his hands were both super divine artifacts. They had even exceeded the scope of divine artifacts. With 2 heaven-defying treasures in his hands, he naturally looked down on the other pill cauldrons. Curiosity aside, he was just curious about the reincarnation cauldron. It was difficult for the Yun family to use the reincarnation cauldron to refine the reincarnation pill. They even found such a treasure. Boom! Boom! With a series of explosions, the pill cauldron expanded to a radius of 10 meters. The 10-meter-wide pill cauldron floated in the air above the abyss. The destructive nether energy and scorching sun energy happened to converge at this place. Ding! Master Cloud Dao cast a series of spells to control the cauldron. But at this moment, a powerful force shot out and bombarded the cauldron. Yun Zhongtian and the others were stunned by this turn of events, and their faces revealed a faint anger. He glared coldly at Li Lingtian because Li Lingtian was the one who had unleashed the force. Since they had encountered such a heaven-defying super-divine alchemist like Li Lingtian, it was only natural for them to let Li Lingtian handle the matter. Furthermore, the pills refined by Li Lingtian were all peerless and mutated. Even if the pill refinement this time did not produce peerless and mutated pills, it would be a blessing if it succeeded. Boom! Boom! The refinement of each medicinal ingredient required a period of time. There were 81 10,000-year-old herbs and 49 100,000-year-old herbs. These medicinal herbs had been collected by Yunfeng Villa for hundreds of years. If they failed, hundreds of years of hard work would be ruined. The first few herbs were quickly refined, but the later they were refined, the harder it was to refine. Moreover, after refining the medicinal ingredients, they would become damaged after too long. This was something that alchemists often encountered. Even if there were 9 spirit alchemists and 2 saint alchemists, they were not completely confident. Yun Tian and the others continuously poured their terrifying true essence into the pill cauldron. If they wanted to refine the pill, they could only risk it once. Ding! Seconds passed. Time passed day by day. Time passed. 8 days had passed. Within 8 days, he had finally refined 81 10,000-year-old medicinal herbs and 49 100,000-year-old medicinal herbs. Refining these medicinal herbs seemed to be smooth, but midway, 4 or 5 situations occurred, and almost all of their previous efforts were wasted. Fortunately, Li Lingtian made a timely move to stabilize the medicinal liquid that was about to be destroyed. At the same time, he also used a few precious medicinal herbs on him. Although these medicinal herbs were not 100,000 years old, they were indeed precious. This was because he relied on these medicinal herbs to stabilize the explosion of the medicinal liquid. Yun Zhongtian and the others were shocked when they saw Li Lingtian averting danger after danger. They now understood that without Li Lingtian's presence, they would have failed countless times to refine these pills. Master Cloud Dao's face was filled with dejection. He was a saint alchemist, but he was not on the same level as Li Lingtian. He knew that his alchemy Dao was far inferior to Li Lingtian's. His powerful and profound cultivation could sweep away any martial saint powerhouse, and his alchemy skills made all the martial artists in the world look up to him. In his entire life he had always been high and mighty. However, he was utterly defeated by Li Lingtian. Even if he was defeated, he could only accept it. Comparisons were infuriating. On the 8th day, all the medicinal herbs had been refined and turned into medicinal liquid. Next, Master Cloud Dao carefully produced a jade bottle from his bag of holding. As he looked at the bottle, his expression grew serious and reluctant. Li Lingtian was curious as well. Was there any treasure that these powerhouses were reluctant to part with? The 9 spirit alchemists had almost exhausted themselves in these 8 days. They were all martial saint powerhouses, but they could not hold on for 8 days. Everyone looked at the jade bottle in Master Cloud Dao's hand with curiosity and worry. It seemed that the contents of the jade bottle were very important. Either they succeeded or they failed. Success or failure depended on this one move. Master Cloud Dao opened the jade bottle, and a burst of heaven-defying demonic power erupted from within. Terrifying demonic chi and demonic power constantly stirred the stone room. Even the Yin Nether QJ and the Sun QJ were stirred by this demonic power. It could be seen how powerful the thing in this jade bottle was. True dragon's blood. Li Lingtian exclaimed. He was the clearest because he had cultivated the true dragon body barrier and possessed the divine dragon ring. He was also a member of the dragon clan. Little White, Long Da, and the silver wing flying dragon were all from the dragon clan. He was very familiar with their auras. His identity was no different from the dragon clan leader, so he was definitely the clearest about the true dragon aura. True dragon's blood. True dragon's blood? Instantly, the other 9 spirit alchemists exclaimed. They naturally knew what kind of existence the blood of a true dragon was. If it was in ancient times, it was possible to encounter a true dragon, but now it was simply impossible. He hadn't expected Master Cloud Dao to have the blood of a true dragon. Even if it had been preserved a long time ago, it was still shocking enough. That's right, even if it's the blood of a true dragon left behind by an ancient true dragon. Master Cloud Dao's expression grew even more intense. The blood of a true dragon was the most precious material of all, and it was also the last drop. If he failed this time, he would never have the chance to refine the reincarnation pill again. Looking at Master Cloud Dao's expression, Li Lingtian understood that even if the Yun family managed to refine the reincarnation pill, they would only have this one cauldron. It was impossible for them to refine another reincarnation pill, because they did not have any extra true dragon's blood. Since that was the case, things were easy to handle. As long as he controlled the number of pills, he could control the Yun family's power. However, the prerequisite was that it could not be too little. If it was too little, the Yun family would definitely not let him off. Moreover, with the Yun family's influence, there would only be 8 or 9 martial god realm experts in the entire 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. No matter how heaven-defying 8 or 9 martial gods were, they were only heaven-defying in the Black Continent. Moreover, even if he had the reincarnation pill, it would not take him a year or 2 to break through to the martial god realm. During this period of time, he would have more opportunities. Chapter 741. Refining the Reincarnation Pill 1. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. Li Lingtian was the only one who understood how powerful and heaven-defying true dragon's blood was. From the look on Master Cloud Dao's face, he could tell that he didn't have much true dragon blood, and his heart was racing. Before he could say anything, Master Cloud Dao spoke first. Sir Lingtian, you should understand the power and effects of the true dragon's blood. Right? Master Cloud Dao's expression was serious as he looked at Li Lingtian. He did not dare to use the true dragon's blood recklessly. If he failed, he would never have another true dragon's blood in the future. He had witnessed Li Lingshan's methods and performance over the past few days. As a holy alchemist, he was far inferior to Li Lingtian. Now that he wanted to use the true dragon's blood, he wanted to see what Li Lingtian thought. Of course, the true dragon is the most powerful and mysterious demonic beast in the world. It can also be said to be the king of the demonic race. At the same time, the true dragon has already left the category of demons and is almost the same as humans. The blood of a true dragon is extremely powerful and has a mysterious and powerful effect. It can be used to refine pills to increase the power of the pills and the physique of warriors. It can increase the endurance of warriors when they consume pills. The reincarnation pill uses the blood of a true dragon. It's the same. With a faint smile on his face, Li Lingtian slowly explained the use and power of the true dragon's blood. The other spirit alchemists looked at Li Lingtian and agreed with his words. After all, Li Lingshan's identity and strength were on display. Naturally, there was no objection. I wonder how confident Sir Lingtian is in refining the reincarnation pill with the true dragon's blood? Master Cloud's eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian. As soon as Li Lingtian finished speaking, he asked Li Lingtian. Yun Zhongtian and the rest, as well as the 9 spirit alchemists, turned to look at Li Lingtian. This was a crucial moment. Success or failure was in Li Lingshan's hands. Their fates were also in Li Lingshan's hands. If Li Lingtian failed to refine the pill, they would have no chance of survival. If Li Lingtian succeeded in refining the pill, they would still have a chance of survival. Haha. Haha. To everyone's surprise, Li Lingtian was in the mood to laugh at this moment. However, no one dared to do anything to Li Lingtian. After all, Li Lingtian was the main character of this alchemy session. Everyone was waiting for his next words. Do you think I'm not confident in refining pills? In front of this seat, any medicinal pill is easy to obtain. The same goes for the reincarnation pill. The blood of a true dragon cannot be used to refine a pill. Only half a drop is needed. The terrifying demonic power of the dragon blood was sealed in the array formation. Li Lingshan's eyes gleamed as he waved his hand. A light shadow was sent toward the array. The array formation trembled, and the light shadow entered the array formation. At the same time, the light shadow split the dragon blood into 2. The 2 halves of the dragon blood began to go berserk, as terrifying as an injured demon beast. In the stone room, the terrifying demonic power seemed to be about to destroy the entire stone room. Yun Zhongtian and the others' expressions changed drastically. They did not expect the dragon blood to be so terrifying after being separated. At the same time, he used his defense to protect the cauldron in the center of the abyss. Rumble! A series of muffled sounds rang out in the air like thunder. The array formation trembled continuously, but no matter how much it trembled, it did not seem to be about to be destroyed. The destructive power of the dragon blood continued to riot inside. Upon seeing this, everyone understood Li Lingshan's intention for casting the array. They were all shocked. How did Li Lingtian know so much? He had expected such a heaven-defying commotion after the dragon blood separated, and he had even made preparations beforehand. Sacrifice? Li Lingshan's eyes were constantly flickering as he conjured a ball of icy frost flame. The icy frost flame flew toward the array formation without any resistance as it entered the array formation. The ice flame directly imprisoned half a drop of dragon blood. At this moment, the dragon blood became even more violent. Because half of the dragon blood was gone, the other half of the dragon blood seemed to go crazy. It circled around the ice flame crazily, and the violent aura was even more terrifying. Ding! With a soft sound, Li Lingtian used his true essence to extract the dragon blood from the ice flame. At the same time, he used a hand seal to inject the other half a drop of dragon blood into the cauldron. The dragon blood in the ice flame also returned to the jade bottle, and the air was temporarily quiet for a moment. However, after this moment, a destructive aura erupted from the cauldron. Upon discovering this destructive aura, everyone was shocked. The appearance of such an aura in the pill cauldron meant that the pill was about to fail. Dragon blood was the most mysterious and powerful item. It was normal for it to be used to refine pills and destroy them. Seeing that the pill was about to be destroyed, they were all shocked and afraid. However, Li Lingxian's expression was unbelievably calm. It was as if nothing had happened, as if he had known this outcome. Just as everyone was in shock, Li Lingtian made his move. One after another he performed a technique. This technique was the standard alchemy technique in the ancient alchemy technique. When these hand seals entered the cauldron, the destructive aura inside the cauldron was quickly suppressed. The destructive aura was not suppressed. Instead, it was refined by Li Lingxian's hand seal, and finally merged into the medicinal liquid. Seeing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As he waved his hand seals, the spiritual energy in the cauldron kept emitting whooshing sounds. Yun Zhongtian and the others continued to use their true essence to stabilize the spiritual energy required by the medicinal liquid in the cauldron. Nether Qi. Scorching Sun Q. Li Lingtian shouted loudly after he cast the last incantation gesture. Master Cloud Dao had already fused the two auras together by the time he finished speaking. Although his alchemy skills were not as powerful and profound as Li Lingxian's, he was still in a state of shock. However, he was still a saint alchemist. Even if he did not personally help Li Lingtian, he had already prepared his alchemy skills when Li Lingtian needed it and knew when he needed two auras. The nether chi surged out from the abyss. At the same time, the scorching sun chi above the stone room also rushed down. The two auras collided and hit the crucible. The fusion of the aura quickly entered the pill cauldron. The pill cauldron seemed to have become a carrier that accepted the infusion of the aura. Li Lingtian did not dare to be careless as he stared at the cauldron with a serious expression. His divine sense had already entered the cauldron and was watching the changes in the medicinal liquid inside. Increase your primeval essence. Li Lingtian shouted loudly with a grave expression on his face. The scorching sun energy and the nether energy were too powerful. It was impossible to reduce them. The only thing they could do was to increase the infusion of Zhanyuan. Only Yun Zhongtian and a few other alchemists could do that. When the voice fell, everyone's expressions changed, but without the slightest hesitation, they could only pour in all their true essence. This was because this was the most crucial step in refining the reincarnation doctrine. If he failed, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Chapter 742. The Root of the Nine Heavens. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. Terrifying true essence continuously surged into the pill cauldron. The cauldron was like a machine that could devour everything in the world. The 9 spirit alchemists and a few super martial saints all poured their true essence into the cauldron endlessly. Li Lingxian's expression turned serious at this moment. No matter what the situation was, when refining pills, one would put all their energy into it. It was the same now. Even if he had to face a few super experts from the Yunfeng Villa after he succeeded in refining the pill, at least he would not be distracted before he succeeded in refining the pill. He used his divine sense to monitor the situation inside the cauldron, observing the changes in the medicinal liquid inside. The expression on his face kept changing. The powerhouses and alchemists were extremely worried when they saw Li Lingxian's expression. Following that, Li Lingxian's expression turned anxious. 9 Heavens Root. After a full 10 minutes, the powerhouses and spirit alchemists' expressions had turned extremely ugly. However, Li Lingtian did not move at all. Since Li Lingtian did not move, they could not retract their true essence. They could only hold on until the last moment of the refinement. At that moment, Li Lingtian made his move. With a flash, he levitated into the air. His eyes shone brightly as his entire Bodhis aura burst forth. Terrifying true essence and aura filled the entire stone room. Even the terrifying nether chi and sun chi seemed insignificant at this moment. Yun Zhongtian and the others were shocked when they saw Li Lingxian's imposing manner. At the same time, their eyes flashed with killing intent. The killing intent was fleeting. Li Lingtian did not have the energy to pay attention to anything else at the moment. All his attention was focused on the pill cauldron. Then, with a flick of his divine sense, a magical root appeared in the divine dragon ring. The root was not eye-catching at all. However, such an inconspicuous tree root had turned magical at this moment because it was Li Lingxian's handiwork. He also understood that Li Lingtian had brought out the tree root at this time because it would definitely be of great help to the alchemy process. While the powerhouses were still in shock, Li Lingtian waved his hand and cut off a section of the tree root with a burst of energy. He then stored the rest into the divine dragon ring. After everything was done, the 9 heavens root had already entered the cauldron. Rumble! The explosion sounded again, and the pill cauldron kept trembling. As the crucial moment arrived, Li Lingtian began to get busy as he displayed his various techniques without holding back. Seconds passed by and the cauldron continued to absorb the nether qi, the scorching sun qi, and the true essence of Yun Zhongtian and the others. After half an hour, the cauldron finally quieted down. 8th grade medicinal pills originally required spirit infusion to attack, but the reincarnation pill was a relatively different kind of medicinal pill. It did not absorb spiritual qi, but nether qi and yang qi. Therefore, it did not need spirit infusion to absorb spiritual qi. Pill formed. Li Lingtian waved his hand at the cauldron and a dozen pills appeared in the air. The pills were emitting a mysterious aura that contained nether qi, spirit qi, true essence and even sun qi. Whoosh! With a whooshing sound, Yun Zhongshan's figure flashed and appeared in the air, collecting all the pills. By the time the pills were put away, all the spirit alchemists and experts were already exhausted and their true essence was exhausted. He sat on the ground, unwilling to move even if he died. However, Li Lingtian remained suspended in the air as he stared coldly at sky amongst the clouds and the others. Now that the elixir had been refined, his life and death were about to change. He would either kill a few 9th heavenly layer martial saints or be killed. Anyway, he was not stupid enough to think that the people of the Yunfeng Villa would let him go. After all, the Yunfeng Villa would not let the news of refining such a pill leak out. Instead, they would kill him to silence him and then hide it to break through. The stone room was eerily quiet. Furthermore, their auras were extremely suppressed. They did not dare to make a sound, afraid of breaking the silence. It was even more so for the 9 spirit alchemists. After all, their cultivation was much higher than Li Lingtian's, but they paled in comparison to the 9th firmament martial saint. Furthermore, there were 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts in Yun Peak Villa. Reincarnation pill, reincarnation pill. The reincarnation pill has finally been refined. Yun Zhongtian looked at the pill in his hand, and his expression kept changing. After a long time, he finally couldn't help but shout excitedly. The sound was extremely unpleasant, like the laughter of a broken gong. However, as soon as he spoke, his sharp eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian. He completely ignored the alchemists below. In their eyes, the few martial saints below were nothing. Even if he was at his peak, he could kill 9 alchemists in seconds, let alone now that he had exhausted his true essence. However, the cultivation base that Li Lingtian had just displayed was what they feared the most. Moreover, Li Lingtian had not used his true origin all this while they had already exhausted all of it. "Sir, why are you making a move now?" Li Lingtian's expression remained calm, and he had a calm smile on his face. He appeared to be at ease. The aura of his entire body erupted to the extreme. This aura had completely exceeded the scope of a martial monarch realm expert. Even an ordinary martial monarch realm expert would be worlds apart from this aura. Yun Zhongtian and the others looked at Li Lingtian's imposing manner with a grave expression. This was because Li Lingtian's strength had exceeded their expectations from the start. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian's aura to truly erupt at this moment. He had underestimated Li Lingtian's cultivation base previously. Now that he had seen Li Lingtian's strength, he dared not be careless. After all, Li Lingtian's reputation was extremely strong in the past. A martial emperor powerhouse had swept away all the super powerhouses in Moonsong Kingdom, and even killed the 1st and 4th ranked martial saints. Although the Wanyan family's super powerhouse was only at the 6th or 7th heaven of the martial saint realm, Li Lingtian's cultivation base was still very low. He was already so powerful at such a low level. Now that he had reached the peak of the 9th heaven martial emperor realm, his cultivation base was even more abnormal. A person's aura was domineering and terrifying, looking down on the world. He did not have the slightest bit of fear when facing a few pseudo-martial god powerhouses. Naturally, they did not know that Li Lingtian was not afraid of a true martial god powerhouse at all. Moreover, he had almost killed the martial god. Now that he was facing a few fake martial gods, he was naturally not that afraid. Even if they were afraid, they could only face it. They couldn't just watch helplessly as they were killed without retaliating, right? Not to mention him, even if it was any martial artist, they would not be captured so easily. Haha, Sir Lingtian is indeed powerful. You're even more courageous. As I said before, as long as you can defeat any one of us, you can leave. Yun Tian said loudly when he saw that the others did not answer. Even if he went back on his word, he could still test Li Lingshan's cultivation base. When the others heard Yun Tian's words, they looked at Li Lingtian with a bitter smile on their faces. How could a martial emperor realm expert fight against a peak 9th heavenly layer martial saint realm expert? Wasn't this courting death? Yunfeng Villa was already shameless enough, but they didn't expect it to be so shameless after successfully refining the pill. Alright then, which one of you will fight me? Pseudo-martial god, I would like to see it. Not only did Li Lingtian not lose his temper, he even laughed out loud. The aura around him grew even more terrifying as he rushed out with an aura that looked down on the world. He exuded a domineering aura. His expression was calm, but beneath that calmness, there was endless fighting spirit. His gaze swept past Yun Tian and the others, and finally landed on the 3 false martial gods. Since he could deal with the 9 heavens, then he would go and test the false martial gods. Chapter 743. Battle against Cloud Dragon Cliff 1. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M, a martial saint, is indeed a martial saint. He's indeed shrewd. But do you think your little bit of true essence can kill me? The smile on Li Lingshan's face grew wider. The other powerhouses were puzzled. They wondered what Li Lingtian was capable of for him to still smile despite knowing that the Yunfeng Villa powerhouses were on guard. However, after Li Lingtian finished speaking, the powerhouses' expressions began to change. As Li Lingshan's aura was constantly changing, the 5 elements Tao will appeared in the stone chamber. This 5 elements will of the way was supported by the 5 elements sacred body. The nether chi and the power of the scorching sun in the space were all disturbed. Furthermore, after the appearance of the 5 elements will, a 5-colored halo appeared around Li Lingshan's body. The 9 heavenly stars. Li Lingshan's divine consciousness stirred as he extended his hand. A ball of light appeared in his palm. The moment the ball of light appeared, it exploded and transformed into 99 5-colored spirit pearls. The 5-colored spirit pearl revolved around Li Lingtian continuously. This seemingly random rotation had a mysterious trajectory to it, just like the stars in the sky. The 99 5-colored spiritual pearls kept spinning. Every time they spun, a destructive and terrifying aura would appear in the air. This terrifying aura was exactly the same as the aura in this space. Gradually, an independent world was formed within a 10-meter radius around Li Lingtian. Based on Li Lingshan's cultivation base and the power of the 9 Skies Star, the 9 Skies Star could extend to a radius of 500 meters. In other words, he was the ruler within this 500 meters. However, the 9 stars in the sky were only 10 meters in size. Not only did this not reduce their power, but it also condensed the 9 stars in the sky together, which also compressed their power. The 9 heavenly stars? Almighty technique? The almighty art of the 5 elements. The 9 spirit alchemists, as well as Yun Zhongtian and the others, all exclaimed. They were all martial saint powerhouses. Even if they had never seen an almighty skill, they could roughly tell that the divine power Li Lingtian had cast was not a heaven rank but an almighty skill that surpassed heaven rank. The might of the almighty's art was beyond their imagination. Even if Li Lingtian was only a martial emperor powerhouse, they would not dare to be careless when he unleashed the almighty's art. One had to know that the power of a mighty person's technique was enough to destroy the world. Martial saints were only warriors, not godlike existences. Even godlike existences could be injured or even killed by the techniques of mighty figures. Their eyes were filled with shock, and they did not dare to be careless for a moment. When the 9 spirit alchemists saw Li Lingshan's almighty skill, their shocked expressions turned into excitement. If Li Lingtian defeated the powerhouse from Yunfeng Villa, they would have a chance to live. If Li Lingtian could not defeat the powerhouses from Yunfeng Villa, They would not even stand a chance. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Seeing that Li Lingtian was about to fight with the powerhouses, the 9 spirit alchemists quickly moved away from their original spot and went to a corner. The excitement on their faces grew stronger as they sensed Li Lingtian's aura constantly changing. Furthermore, the 9 heavenly stars was an almighty skill, and it was like a territory. If he had such an almighty technique, even if he could not defeat a 9th heavenly layer martial saint, there would at least be a glimmer of hope. With hope there would be a chance. Stars in the 9 skies. Not bad. I'll try out the power of your stars in the 9 skies. Yun Longya's expression was also constantly changing. However, his current expression was ugly because Li Lingtian's means and strength had exceeded their expectations. This feeling made him uncomfortable. Furthermore, Li Lingtian's aura was threatening them. If they were to be injured by Li Lingtian's desperate actions, their breakthrough would be delayed by several years. One should know that at their level, a slight misstep could affect their breakthrough and advancement. Boom! With a muffled sound, the air suddenly exploded. The power of the pseudo-martial god erupted at this moment. The strength of the pseudo-martial god was far from what the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm could compare to. Even if the pseudo-martial god was still in the 9th heavenly layer, the difference in strength between them was too great. A pseudo-martial god's strength was enough to kill the 9 heavens. One had to know that even if a 9th heavenly layer martial saint were to fight, it was impossible to defeat the other party without heaven-defying treasures, cultivation techniques, and divine arts. The fake martial god had the ability to defeat a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. Boom! The 2 powerful auras collided, and the stone room shook. The 9 alchemists rolled around like beans in a dustpan. At this moment he also trembled, and his face was filled with shock. A 9th firmament martial emperor battling against a false martial god was definitely not faked in terms of aura. However, Li Lingtian did not retreat even in this situation. Their auras clashed and the entire stone room shook. However, neither Li Lingtian nor Yun Longya took a step back. The battle of auras did not have the slightest victory or defeat for a moment. Heavenly Demon Region. Li Lingtian's expression was calm. The confrontation of aura earlier was meant to strike a blow to his opponent's confidence and give him the wrong signal. He displayed a terrifying pressure and aura, and with a single blow from the pseudo-martial god, the 2 of them were evenly matched. However, he knew that there was still a huge gap between the 2 of them. Li Lingtian 1's expression did not change as he watched Yun Longya continuously adjust his pressure. However, he was shocked and did not dare to be careless. He quickly unleashed the Heavenly Demon Domain. In the Heavenly Demon region, the most powerful pressure of the Fiend race was also the Fiend race's precious cultivation technique. It could resist the powerful aura and help the devouring light devour the other party's aura and pressure. The Heavenly Demon territory was one of Li Lingtian's trump cards. He dared not hide his strength at this point in time, as it would be suicide if he did. This was because the other party was too powerful and had the killing intent to kill him. There was no need to hide. If you were not careful, the other party's pressure would directly crush you to death. At that time it would be too late to regret. Yun Tian's expression changed as he looked at Li Lingtian's Heavenly Demon Domain and exclaimed in surprise. When Yun Tian was shocked, the expressions of the other experts from the Yunfeng Villa also changed, as if they had recognized something. Heavenly Demon Region, the strongest cultivation technique of the Fiend race. I didn't expect you to actually cultivate it. Today, let's see if the Heavenly Demon Region is stronger or if I'm invincible and domineering. Yun Longya's expression kept changing, and a strange smile appeared on his lips. It seemed that he knew a lot about this Heavenly Demon Region. The aura on his body surged as a destructive aura charged toward Li Lingtian. Boom! There was a muffled sound in the air, and the air was constantly torn apart. Puff! Right after this muffled sound, the sound of blood spurting could be heard. At the same time, everyone was shocked as they looked at Yunlong Cliff and then Li Lingtian. Yun Longya's expression became even uglier. He was originally like a ghost, but now he looked even more hideous than a ghost. Blood even flowed out of the corner of his mouth. He kept retreating until he reached the wall of the stone room. His eyes were filled with fear and horror. When the invincible strike struck Li Lingtian's 9 Skies star, a destructive rebound force knocked him away. Moreover, the immense pressure was also swallowed up. Ignorant. You're a fake martial god at the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm, but you have a pig's brain. Can you break my 9 heaven stars just because you want to? Li Lingshan's face revealed a look of disdain. The pseudo-martial god's strength was terrifying, but he was still at a disadvantage in front of the 9 skies stars. The 9 heavenly stars gave him a domain-like mighty figure technique and a saint-tier divine art. The stronger the attack, the stronger the counterattack. The only thing that could be used was the saint-tier divine power. However, how many saint-tier divine powers were there in this world? In the beginning, he had used pressure to fight Yunlongya to a draw. He had relied on various methods and the 9 stars in the sky. Now that the other party had used a heaven-defying attack, the rebound force was also displayed. In addition, the terror of the heavenly demon region had devoured a lot of the pressure of the Cloud Dragon Cliff. It had caused Yunlongya to suffer quite a bit. Join forces and kill him. Yunlongya's face was pale, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. He shouted at Yun Tian and the others. Only he truly understood how terrifying Li Lingtian was. If they fought alone, he would be injured even if he managed to kill Li Lingtian. With his current realm, he did not want to suffer the slightest bit of harm. Now the only way was to join forces. 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts and 2 9th heaven martial saints would join forces to kill Li Lingtian. As for the other 9 alchemists, they were like ants and could be wiped out at that time. All right. Yun Tian nodded and his expression turned serious. The few of them had been cultivating together and naturally understood Yunlong Cliff's thoughts. They also knew that Li Lingtian was not an easy opponent. Otherwise, Yunlong Cliff would not have asked them to join forces. After saying that, the 5 super experts erupted with terrifying auras at the same time. Even if the 5 9th heavenly layer martial saints were not as powerful as the 9th heavenly layer martial saints who had obtained the inheritance from the divine martial hall, they were more or less the same. Moreover, the power of their combined forces was even more terrifying. Li Lingshan's expression froze when he saw the few martial saint powerhouses joining forces. He then turned even more serious. He activated the divine dragon ring with his divine consciousness. The air trembled slightly, and 6 unparalleled girls appeared in the air. Each of them was stunning. Appearing at the same time, it completely made the world lose its color. Moreover, when the 6 girls appeared, everyone was stunned for a moment. They did not expect such a thing to happen in this place. They could bring spatial treasures with them and bring experts with them. Chapter 744. Peak Duel 1. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M, however, when they saw the cultivation of the girls, Yunlongya and the others were slightly relieved. Moreover, his evil eyes kept sweeping over the 6 girls. The people who came out were naturally Tang Qingyue and the others. Huang Fuyuyan, Tang Qingyue, Shun Mei Tang Ziming, Qingling, and Xianyuan Yinging. The 5 of them could cast the 5 elements reincarnation together. Xianyuan Yinging had the 5 elements sacred body, so she could naturally help Li Lingtian. When they joined forces, their power would increase by several times. Big brother Lingtian. After Xianyuan Yinging came out and saw the situation in front of her, she was also shocked. She didn't expect there to be a few fake martial god realm experts here. From the looks of it, it was obvious that they were fighting. The terrifying pressure almost destroyed her. She immediately understood that she was in danger. She called out to Li Lingtian, hoping that he could explain the situation. People from Yunfeng Villa, let's join hands and use the 5 elements reincarnation and the 9 heaven stars. Li Lingshan's expression was calm and he did not say anything else. With a simple sentence, he explained the situation before them because they could not afford to delay. In a battle between experts, victory and death were only a matter of seconds. 5 elements reincarnation. Tang Qingyue and the others were aware of the situation before them. They quickly cast the 5 elements reincarnation, while Li Lingtian floated up with the 9 heaven stars. Xianyuan Yinging was by Li Lingshan's side. She had the 5 elements sacred body and shared cultivation with Li Lingtian. Naturally, he could ignore the obstruction of the 9 heavenly stars and directly enter the 9 heavenly stars. Tang Qingyue and the others quickly used the 5 elements reincarnation. In an instant, the 5 true essence fused together, and their figures flashed and disappeared into the air. When they reappeared, they had already turned into 5 light shadows. The 5 light shadows started to spin rapidly, circling around the 9 stars in the sky. Xianyuan Yingying saw that Tang Qingyue and the others had also cast the 5 elements reincarnation. She did not dare to be careless at all and cast the 5 elements will in her body as well. Instantly, the stone room was filled with several destructive auras. The 5 elements will displayed by the 2 5 elements sacred bodies, along with the 5 elements reincarnation and the 9 heavens stars. In the air, an independent world filled the place. There were no longer any stars in the 9 skies but a world of fusion. Li Lingtian had completely merged with this world. Boom! The entire process seemed to have taken a long time, but the real time had only passed in the blink of an eye. The combined might of the 5 powerhouses combined to unleash a devastating force that crashed into the 9 skies of stars. At the same time, Li Lingshan's 9 skies of stars also crashed into the 9 skies of stars. The 2 destructive attacks were less than 100 meters apart. This distance was completely different. In an instant, a destructive explosion sounded. The stone room was filled with the aura of destruction, and the terrifying aura of destruction wreaked havoc. The 9 spirit alchemists' eyes were filled with despair. In front of such an attack, even if they were martial saints, they had no way to resist at this moment. He had completely suffered the disaster of the fish pond. Yun Longya's team of 5 formed a halo as well. When the halo clashed with Li Lingshan's 9 heavenly stars, the 2 halos trembled continuously. It was impossible to determine the victor at that moment. The sound of blood spurting out could be heard as Nangongyu spat out a mouthful of blood. He could no longer endure the tearing of such an aura. Soon after, the other spirit alchemists also met the same fate. Their eyes were filled with despair, and traces of blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Li Lingtian and Xianyuan Yingying's expressions were extremely grave. It was their first time encountering such a powerful opponent. Even when they met the martial god previously, they had never felt so uncomfortable. Last time he had been directly defeated. Now, the feeling of being in a stalemate with the other party was really uncomfortable. Tang Qingyue and the others were nowhere to be seen in the starry sky. Similarly, Yun Longya's group of 5 who were on the other side did not look pleased either. They never expected that Li Lingtian, who was only a 9th-level martial emperor, could achieve such power when he joined forces with a few martial honors and martial emperors. If this kind of power was used to deal with a fake martial god, the outcome would have been decided long ago. In fact, it might even have killed the fake martial god. Among the 5 of them, there were 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts and 2 9th firmament martial saints. Even if they were not a match for a martial god realm expert, they could still fight him head-on. However, even in the face of such heaven-defying power, he was still unable to defeat a martial monarch realm expert. Moreover, it was hard to say who would win or lose. They had no confidence in defeating their opponent. Gradually, their opponent's 9 stars in the sky gave them a feeling that they were invincible. Gotcha! The air in the stone room exploded, and the space seemed to be torn apart. The halo of the 9 heavenly stars came crashing down. The expressions of Yun Longya and the other 5 changed drastically. In front of the 9 heavenly stars, even if the 5 of them were 9th heavenly layer martial saints, they would still be crushed. The shock in his heart could not be recovered. He never expected that a 9th-level martial emperor would be able to display such power with an almighty technique. He now understood that Li Lingtian was not lucky enough to unify Moonsong Kingdom and establish the Carefree Dynasty as a level 4 martial emperor. With the power of the 9 skies of stars, even a martial god powerhouse would not be able to withstand it easily. Crash! The space was completely shattered, and the yin and yang energy in the entire stone room erupted at this moment. The 9 spirit alchemists had already vanished into thin air. They were all martial saints, but they were like ants in front of the terrifying pressure of the 9 stars in the sky. The light of the 9 stars in the sky quickly crushed towards the 5 people of Yun Longya. The 5 people had already retreated to the wall of the stone room, to the point where they could not retreat. 5 elements sacred body. At the same time, Li Lingtian, who was in the 9 skies of stars, let out a soft cry. The 5 elements sacred body was activated, and the 5 elements will erupted. The stone chamber was no longer an independent world, nor was it the 9 skies of stars like a domain. He was the master of this world. In this world, everything in the world disappeared under his will. Xinyuan Yingying's will of the 5 elements also appeared in the stars in the 9 heavens at this time. The 2 of them were dual cultivators and both had the 5 elements' sacred bodies. The will of the 5 elements was the same. Under the combined use of cultivation, the 5 elements' Tao intent in the 9 heavenly stars had reached the critical point of perfection. The fusion of the 9 heaven stars and the 5 elements' reincarnation was unleashed to the extreme at this moment. Boom! In the hall there was a deafening explosion. The entire hall vanished into thin air at that moment. Li Lingtian soared into the sky from the stars in the 9 skies and vanished into thin air. Walala! The sound of seawater was heard as Li Lingtian plunged into the icy Yin River. In the Yin River, endless nether chi continued to erode him. Li Lingtian was shocked when he realized that he was in the Yin River. The stars in the 9 skies had disappeared, along with Xinyuan Yingying and the others. Lingtian. At this moment a voice sounded. It was Tang Qingyu's familiar voice. Hearing Tang Qingyu's voice, he was instantly nervous and excited. In the Yin River, even his defense was unable to withstand it, so Tang Qingyue and the others were even more so. Now that Tang Qingyue and the others were safe, he felt a little relieved. He extended his divine sense and found Tang Zhenji and the others together. Moreover, the 5 elements' reincarnation was not affected by the Yin River. The 5 of them floated in the Yin River, and the water of the Yin River swirled around them. At this moment, Xinyuan Yingying appeared beside him. Chapter 745. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch 1. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. He had encountered the Umbra Beast in the Divine Martial Hall the last time. The Abyssal Beast's cultivation had also reached the strength of a pseudo-martial god. Even a few 9th Heavenly Layer martial saints were not its match. Now the Umbra Beast was like a fish in water in its territory. It was indeed not a good thing to encounter an Umbra Beast here. Whoosh! His figure was like lightning as he quickly swam into the distance. In a place like this, even if you concealed your aura, the Umbra Beast would still be able to sense it. Li Lingtian would not be so foolish. The only thing he could do now was hope that the Umbra Beast's speed was not as fast as his. If the Umbra Beast caught up to him, it would be even more difficult than dealing with the pseudo-martial god. However, just as he sped up, his expression became solemn. Because the Yin River water around him seemed to be confined, it was as if he had entered a swamp. It was impossible for him to swim quickly. It was obvious that this change came from the Umbra Beast. The Umbra Beast had already discovered him. It had used some kind of mysterious innate technique to imprison the water of the Yin River, slowing down the expert's speed. Roar! Behind him, the infernal beast's roars continued to ring out, and they were getting closer and closer. The expression on Li Lingtian's face kept changing as he tried to think of a solution as he swam. At that moment, Li Lingtian looked at the ring on his left hand. The underworld ring was something he had obtained in Jiuming City last time. He had also obtained a few treasures, but he had a conflict with the underworld's items, so he had not used them. Now that they were in the Yin River and there were still abyssal beasts chasing after them, they thought of the underworld divine ring. There were treasures in the underworld ring. Together with the underworld ring, they were the 6 treasures of the underworld. However, Li Lingtian did not use any of these treasures. He did not even know what they were used for. With a flick of his divine sense, he sent it into the underworld divine ring. Although he didn't use the underworld ring, the moment he put it on his finger, the entire ring was connected to him. He had never taken it off. Moreover, Li Lingtian had also stored some items that he deemed unclean into the underworld ring. It wasn't difficult to open the underworld ring now. After entering the underworld ring, the first thing his divine sense saw was that domineering weapon. It was extremely domineering. There was no aura on it, but it gave off an aura that could destroy the world. It was 3 feet long and as wide as a palm. A gray crystal was embedded in the handle. Crimson Light Heavenly Emperor. The underworld's super divine weapon was known as the #1 divine weapon in the underworld. Its offensive power was extremely terrifying. In the Netherworld, the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch was the most powerful weapon in terms of offensive power. Furthermore, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch had hidden flames in his body. It could double the strength of his attacks, but the consumption was unbearable. When he unleashed Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light's attack, his master's quintessential essence consumption was 5 times that of usual. In other words, Li Lingshan's consumption of quintessential essence was 5 times that of the Heavenly Monarch Crimson Lights when he cast the Heaven Sword Unity. With his current cultivation and heaven-defying methods, he would not have to use up all his true essence 3 or 4 times to use the Heaven Sword Unity. With his current cultivation, it was impossible for him to unleash Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light. Shoo! Out of the 5 treasures, Li Lingtian only found Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light to be slightly more pleasing to the eye. Furthermore, at this moment, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light was the only one who was slightly reliable. When his consciousness came into contact with Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light, he knew of his power and conditions. After learning the intensity of the vital essence consumption of Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light, he heaved a sigh of relief. With his cultivation base, it was impossible for him to use Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light normally. Even if it was forcefully used, it was impossible to achieve double the attack. Moreover, after one move, he would be injured and his true essence would be exhausted. Roar! At that moment, the threat of destruction loomed over them. A terrifying nether energy with a force that could crush the heavens and earth came crashing down on Li Lingtian. The speed and power were beyond Li Lingshan's imagination. He had never expected that this Umbra beast would be so terrifying. It was even stronger than the Umbra beast he had encountered in the Divine Martial Hall. Boom! With a loud bang in his mind, his entire body was blasted out by the destructive and terrifying nether chi. However, his body couldn't move as if he was trapped in space. If he could be thrown out in front of this attack, he could reduce the power of the attack. However, now that he was trapped in the air, it was as if he was tied up and attacked. He spat out a mouthful of blood. In his line of sight, a black mass was pressing down on him. The huge black object was as powerful as a mountain range in the middle of the night, and the aura of destruction assaulted his face. The aura was about to crush Li Lingtian into pieces. Roar! With another roar, a huge mouth appeared on the huge black object. The mouth was 10 meters wide, like a black hole that swallowed the sky. Looking at the situation before him, Li Lingtian was no longer depressed. It was already impossible to escape. Only his divine sense could be used. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. Li Lingshan's expression turned resolute as a cruel smile appeared on his lips. With a flick of his divine consciousness, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light was summoned. This Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch had never been refined before, but he could use it forcefully. Although its power was not as strong as it was at its peak and he could not control it, if he did not retaliate now, he would be devoured by the Umbra beast. Even if he was injured, he could not care so much at this time. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch appeared in front of him. Immediately, a destructive flame appeared above Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. However, this flame was as terrifying as any supreme flame. It did not have the slightest bit of softness. It was like an ultimate existence, like the Nine-Yang sacred flame. Faint flames flickered around Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light. Instantly, the River's water began to tremble. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch was a supreme treasure of the Netherworld, and had the same attribute as the River. The River would naturally sense it when it encountered a supreme treasure. At the same time, the Umbra beast sensed the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's presence, and its massive body could not help but tremble. However, at this moment, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch had already turned into a shooting star and shot towards the Umbra beast. The River's water was blasted open by the endless fire cave, and it slammed into the Umbra beast's body. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. The River trembled, and the huge Umbra beast was thrown out. Li Lingshan's expression changed drastically as a look of horror appeared in his eyes. All the primeval essence in his body was used up, and his mind was shaken. Furthermore, he had never expected Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light to be so fast. It was so fast that it was beyond his imagination. When quintessential essence appeared, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light burst forth with destructive speed and power. He passed through the Ain River's water as if he could ignore space itself. The only divine skill in the world that could not be broken was speed. Speed could increase the power of attacks. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's power was a good example of how terrifying and powerful the Umber Beast was. He did not expect it to be blasted away by Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's power. This speed could break through all obstacles in space. Roar! Roar! The Umber Beast's miserable cry came from afar. It was extremely furious, but towards the end, there was a hint of fear in its voice. As a sound beast of the Netherworld, it was naturally afraid of Netherworld treasures like Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. Now, he was deeply afraid of the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch in Li Lingshan's hands. The sound grew fainter and fainter. From the sound, Li Lingtian knew that the Umber Beast had left. After putting away the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch in his hand, Li Lingshan's figure flashed once again and he swam up quickly. Time flew by quickly. After swimming for an unknown distance, Li Lingtian felt that something was amiss. The closer he swam to the wall, the denser and colder the Ain River water became. Moreover, the pressure was getting greater and greater, as if it was going to crush him to death. No! Li Lingtian stopped as the expression on his face changed. In the end, he confirmed that he had gone in the wrong direction. The Ain River was in existence in the Netherworld, so it was naturally different from the world above. The higher he went, the more he went in the wrong direction. This was the opposite of what he had expected. He hadn't thought of this problem in the beginning. As the pressure increased, he also understood some things about the underworld. In this Ain River without any light, it was impossible to know where the sky was and where the earth was. At that thought, Li Lingtian changed his direction and swam down quickly. There was a hall not far from the Yunfeng Villa Square. This hall was obviously not the one from the beginning. In the hall, 6 or 7 experts were gathered together. However, a dense dark green aura surrounded them, making them look extremely strange. Moreover, 5 of them had faint traces of blood at the corners of their mouths. Their expressions were extremely terrifying. I didn't expect that guy to be so powerful. Indeed, these injured experts were Yunlongya and the others who were refining pills in the main hall of the Ain River. When they were about to give Li Lingtian their final blow, the combined power of the 9 heaven stars and the 5 of them clashed. However, Li Lingtian was unaware that there was a mechanism in the Grand Hall. The 5 of them left the Grand Hall at the last moment while Li Lingtian was dragged into the Ain River. The 5 of them had returned to the ground, but their hands were not shallow either. If he was injured at this time, it would undoubtedly add insult to injury if he wanted to break through to the martial god realm. They hated Li Lingtian to the bone. They had initially planned to join forces to kill the people inside so that they would not be injured. However, they never expected Li Lingshan's terrifying methods to nearly kill them. A huge shadow formed in his heart. No matter how heaven-defying a 9th-level martial emperor was, he was not a match for a martial saint. Moreover, they were 9th heavenly layer martial saints and pseudo-martial god realm experts who had joined forces. In the end, they were still forced to this step. If it was not for the fact that they had the geographical advantage, they would have been killed by the 9 heaven stars. In the hearts of the 5 of them, the 9 stars in the sky was undoubtedly a terrifying word. In the future, when they heard these words, they would definitely tremble. Chapter 746. Spirit Pressure in the Milky Way 1. Yes, I am. I didn't expect a martial emperor powerhouse to be so powerful. Even when we joined forces, we were almost defeated. If we were to fight him alone, none of us would be his match. Fortunately, he entered the Ain River. In the Ain River, he will never be able to come up. Yun Zongshan's expression was one of shock as well. His eyes were filled with fear and dread. However, when he thought about how Li Lingtian had been dragged into the Ain River, his heart calmed down slightly. The thought of the situation at that time was frightening. If it were not for Li Lingshan's 9 heavenly stars that had burst the stone chamber in the main hall, they would have perished if he had entered the Ain River. However, we still have to cultivate quickly and strive for a breakthrough. This way, we will have a greater chance of fighting against the entire Black Continent. The issue with Li Lingtian has been resolved. I never expected Li Lingtian to come to Yunfeng Villa this time. This saves us the trouble of going to Carefree Dynasty. If we were there, we would be the ones to die. Once he enters the Yin River, he won't be able to get out. He will also be devoured by the sound beasts. Even if the sound beasts don't devour him, he will be trapped inside forever. Yunmeng Mountain didn't see the situation at that time, but seeing that the main hall was gone, he could imagine how Canlai looked at that time. However, he had no idea how powerful Li Lingtian was or how powerful a martial supreme could be. Now that the reincarnation pill had been refined, the main thing was to cultivate first and strive for a breakthrough in a short period of time. Then he would sweep across the entire Black Continent and unify it. Li Lingshan's incident had become history. Let's be careful. This Li Lingtian is too strange. This injury won't allow us to break through in a short period of time. After Daozi recovers, we'll set up a formation. That way, even if something happens, it won't affect our cultivation. Yuntian looked at Master Cloud Dao. Master Cloud Dao was his blood brother, but his cultivation base was much higher than his. In the Yunfeng Villa, Master Cloud Dao's status was extremely high. Even his brothers of the same generation didn't dare to provoke him. After all, Master Cloud Dao was a saint alchemist and a saint array master. Moreover, he was a pseudo-martial god. Even his brothers would not dare to offend such a powerful figure. I'll cultivate for a few days first and my injuries should be able to recover. After I've recovered, I'll construct a formation. I'm still worried about Li Lingtian, because his alchemy Dao and array Dao are both above mine. If he breaks through that Yin River, we won't be able to deal with him when he comes back. Master Cloud Dao nodded with a cold expression. As he spoke, his expression turned grave. Li Lingtian was a holy array master, a holy alchemist, and possessed powerful and mysterious methods. He was not to be underestimated. Even though he was thrown into the Yin River, he still felt uneasy unless he witnessed Li Lingshan's death with his own eyes. Daozi, do you think Li Lingtian can break through the Yin River? Yunming Mountain's expression turned grave. He understood what Master Cloud Dao meant. Master Cloud Dao's cultivation base and methods were heaven, defying in the Yunfeng Villa. Even in the entire Mystic Moon Empire, very few people could compare. The current situation was definitely not simple. He was also wary. If Li Lingtian was really that powerful, it would be troublesome. If Li Lingtian were to break through the Yin River, the entire Yunfeng Villa would be doomed. He was the only one who understood the importance of the Yin River below the Yunfeng Villa. The Yunfeng Villa was located in the Yunfeng mountain range. It had a radius of 1,000,000 miles and was rich in spiritual energy. There was also an endless spiritual vein below, but this spiritual vein was connected to the Yin River. If someone broke through the Yin River, the spirit vein of the entire Yunfeng Villa would disappear, and the foundation of the Yunfeng Villa would be finished. Furthermore, countless geniuses of the Yun family, and all the experts would disappear into thin air. That's right. This Li Lingtian gives me a very mysterious feeling. He doesn't seem like someone from this world at all. His methods are heaven-defying, and his thoughts and ideas are beyond anyone in the divine martial continent. His aura, though not heaven-defying and overbearing, gives off a vague sense of threat. Moreover, I also discovered that he has the presence of an ancient aura. It's not just one type but many types. I'm the only one who can sense this aura. If it's any other expert, even a martial god or someone above him wouldn't be able to sense it. Master Cloud Dao's expression was serious, and his words stunned the other supreme experts. Such a thing was simply unimaginable and unbelievable. However, this was coming from Master Cloud Dao. With his status, cultivation base, strength and methods, there was no need for him to lie. If that was really the case, Yunfeng Villa was really in trouble this time. However, it had already happened and they could not stop him. The only thing they could do was to wait for Li Lingtian to die in the Yin River. Once he died, everything would be in the past. All the things that he was worried about could be settled. Why don't we seal the spirit vein for a period of time? We don't need to cultivate during this period of time, and focus on healing. In 2 days, even if Li Lingtian is a god, he will be corroded and destroyed by the Yin River's water. Yunling looked at Mount Yunmeng. Although Master Cloud Dao had the highest status here, Mount Yunmeng was still the most influential. That's a good idea, but we have to be careful. The Yin River will fluctuate whenever there's a spirit qi. Li Lingtian will also notice the spirit qi fluctuation. Master Cloud Dao didn't wait for Cloud Mist Mountain to speak, and he quickly brought it up. The spirit vein's spirit qi was extremely terrifying. It could even suppress the Yin River. If the spirit vein was sealed, it would definitely alarm the Yin River. Naturally, Li Lingtian, who was in the Yin River, would be able to sense it. Alright, let's be careful. It's best if we don't let Li Lingtian know. Yunmeng Mountain nodded, then left the hall and walked towards the deep mountains behind the square. Li Lingtian swam back and forth in the Yin River for a long time, but he could not find any exit. Moreover, no matter which direction he went, the pressure would only increase in the end. As time passed, the true essence in his body was also rapidly depleting. The true essence of a heaven-defying pill had already been consumed by more than half. In this place, he didn't dare to use the devouring light in case he couldn't refine the Yin Nether Chi he devoured. The expression on his face grew uglier and uglier. He was already injured in the beginning, but he was on the verge of breaking down when he forcefully used Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. However, he did not dare to relax at all at this moment. He continued to soak in the Yin River, unable to find the right direction. At that moment, Li Lingtian's expression changed as he exclaimed in surprise. His eyes shone brightly. He looked into the distance, but he couldn't see far in the Yin River. However, at this moment, a trace of light appeared in the Yin River. This light was very small and very fast. It flashed and disappeared. It was not easy to notice as Li Lingtian had only discovered the halo by accident. This halo looked extremely strange in the Yin River because the Yin River was filled with pitch-black nether chi. However, this halo was indeed extremely rich in spiritual chi. It was no different from spirit pressure. It was just that this halo was too small and inconspicuous in the Yin River. Spirit pressure, it's actually spirit pressure. At that moment, Li Lingtian was certain that the halo was spirit pressure. This was because the heavenly spiritual pearl on his chest had already trembled. This heavenly spiritual pearl was a spiritual item of heaven and earth. Although he did not know what use it had, it was very sensitive to spiritual energy. Coupled with his understanding of spirit pressure, he was certain that this halo was real spirit pressure. This was also the research he had done on the spirit pressure after encountering it in the bottomless abyss. He did not expect to discover this spirit pressure now. Since there was spiritual pressure, there was definitely more than just the water of the Yin River. There were other auras. As long as he could find the source of this spiritual pressure, he would be able to find clues. At the thought of this, his tired body became spirited again. His figure flashed and he quickly chased after the spirit pressure that had disappeared. The speed of the spirit pressure was beyond the imagination of the powerhouses. However, if the other powerhouses were to find out that Li Lingtian was chasing after the spirit pressure, their jaws would drop. However, Li Lingtian managed to catch up to the spirit pressure because it was just a halo and a very small one at that. While the Yin River's water was continuously split into two by the destructive aura. When it was 100 meters in front of Li Lingtian, the Yin River's water was split apart by the power of the 5 elements. It could not slow Li Lingtian down at all. Rumble. 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 After flying for an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian was truly exhausted this time. Finally, they arrived at a region of destruction. The water of the Yin River in this place was constantly churning, and a terrifying spiritual pressure appeared. The further they flew, the stronger the spiritual pressure became. Whoosh! He didn't dare to fly forward anymore, nor did he have the strength to fly. His body floated in the Yin River. At this moment, he was no longer soaking in the water of the Yin River. Instead, he was floating in the spirit pressure and Yin River. It was like a place where spiritual energy and demonic energy intersected, just like a place where ice and fire were compatible. This was also Li Lingtian. If it were any other powerhouse, they would have been destroyed by the spirit pressure and the Yin River water. This was because there were 2 extremes and 2 extreme attributes. However, Li Lingtian had cultivated the heaven and earth reincarnation art, the ice-fire harmony, and all sorts of heaven-defying techniques. Hence, he was not afraid of this extreme attribute at all. However, his eyes were filled with endless excitement and shock. In the distance there was a spirit vein. At the intersection of the spirit vein and the water of the Yin River, the spiritual qi was powerful and terrifying, and then it formed a spirit pressure. If he could take away the spiritual energy, he would be able to increase the spiritual energy in the divine dragon ring and cultivate faster. He completely immersed himself in the world of spiritual energy and did not care about his current situation at all. Chapter 747. 3 Spirit Mountains. The terrifying spiritual pressure kept spinning like a whirlpool in the sea. The water of the Yin River was also cut by the spiritual pressure here, forming an independent space in the middle. Li Lingtian hovered in the independent space as he looked excitedly at the terrifying spirit pressure. This spirit pressure was no longer the spirit pressure halo that he had been chasing after. That was because the halo had already fused into this world of spiritual pressure. What a terrifying spirit vein! It should be good to store this spirit vein in the divine dragon ring. Li Lingtian looked at the terrifying spirit pressure, and a faint smile appeared on his face. This smile was the same as before. It was the smile of wanting to take everything for himself. It was the same smile when he collected materials and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. There were a few powerful and heaven-defying interspatial rings. These interspatial rings were the most powerful independent worlds in this world. Naturally, they could store countless treasures, and so could spiritual energy. From the beginning to the end, he wasn't worried about leaving the Yin River. With such powerful spiritual pressure and spiritual veins, he could completely create a heaven-defying array formation. An array that can pass through barriers, space-breaking divine array. As long as there was strong spiritual energy, as long as one found a critical point, the formation would be able to break through the barrier and pass through space. The premise was that he had to find a breakthrough point. If he could not find a breakthrough point, even the space-breaking divine array could not do anything. Moreover, there was a powerful spirit vein here. The location of the spirit vein was not far from the ground. Therefore, the moment he saw the spirit pressure, he had already seen hope. Heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation. The smile on Li Lingtian's face slowly calmed down. His body flashed once again as he quickly circled around the spirit pressure to check. However, after searching for a long time, he still could not find the end of this spirit pressure. Naturally, he could not find the place where the spirit vein was. At the thought of this, he became even more excited because this world of spirit pressure was even stronger than the world of spirit pressure in the bottomless abyss. The spirit energy vein was even richer than that place. Tang Qingyue and the others would be able to cultivate even faster after storing the spiritual energy into the divine dragon ring. In the end, they stopped and found a better place to start building the array. He took out the divine array diagram, and a stream of light flashed between his eyebrows. A golden light flashed in front of him. The golden radiance transformed into a divine array diagram before Li Lingtian. Although there was an independent space in this place, he was worried that it would be eroded by the Yin River water when the spiritual energy was taken away. He wanted to build a formation here, a formation that could stop the water of the Yin River. This way, he could take away the spiritual energy and spirit vein before the water of the Yin River took advantage of the situation. Whoosh! 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 A strong gust of wind shuttled through the independent space created by the Yin River water and spirit pressure. Li Lingtian's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light, and he wore a serious expression. His 10 fingers moved as he executed many hand seals. All the hand seals landed on the divine array diagram. On the divine array diagram, a faint light shadow gradually formed. This light shadow became denser and denser. Looking closely, the light shadow was a mysterious array. There were also traces of ancient and magnificent aura on the array formation. This was the power and characteristics of the divine array. Seal. A full minute had passed. Within that 1 minute, Li Lingtian had performed countless mysterious hand seals. The spell formed a net. When the last spell fell, the divine array trembled and a beam of light shot out. After the pillar of light appeared, a magnificent array appeared before Li Lingtian. The array formation gave off a faint golden light. It was a defensive array formation that specialized in blocking nether chi. It was a god-level array formation. Li Lingtian had no intention of stopping even after the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation was activated. Instead, he activated the other defensive formations. Many formations of different sizes stood behind the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation. These formations were all connected to each other. As long as there was the slightest touch, they would release heaven-defying power. When all the formations were combined, their power increased greatly. After casting more than 300 formations, Li Lingtian was so exhausted that he almost collapsed. However, he did not dare to lie down at this time. Moreover, there was an array below, so he could not easily activate the array. In the Seine River, if one couldn't see the spirit vein, one couldn't see the ground. It was filled with pitch-black river water. Fortunately, the spiritual energy was rich, and it recovered very quickly. In a moment, the consumed true essence and mental energy were restored to their peak. Li Lingtian opened his eyes after his true essence was restored. The divine dragon ring was opened. Immediately, a wisp of consciousness entered the divine dragon ring. He explained everything that had happened outside. If he were to encounter any danger, he had to be prepared to leave the divine dragon ring at once. Because the spiritual pressure was too terrifying, he was worried that he would not be able to control it with his cultivation. If there was any danger, he would call Tang Qingyue and the others out immediately. The dragon chi in the divine dragon ring was from the 3,000 worlds, and there was already endless spiritual energy in it. With the spiritual pressure and spiritual energy, the divine dragon ring was even more powerful. Of course, if he couldn't control it well, the divine dragon ring would release a terrifying and mysterious effect. He didn't dare to imagine such an effect, nor did he want to wait for it to happen. After he finished his instructions, he activated his divine consciousness. The divine dragon ring released a powerful and terrifying suction force, absorbing the endless spiritual chi into the divine dragon ring. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound of wind was heard as spirit chi and spirit pressure continued to flow into the divine dragon ring. Li Lingtian was also advancing step by step. Just like that, half a day had passed. In half a day, Li Lingtian was already 100 miles away from the array, but the spirit pressure seemed to be endless. However, this was a world of spiritual energy, so it did not consume his true essence. However, as the spiritual pressure was taken away, the river water began to tremble, and the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation also began to tremble. At this moment, the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation was like the embankment of a dam. As long as the dam was destroyed, the endless destructive flood would rush over. This was the River, so it was naturally not an ordinary river. If the river water rushed over, he would have no way to resist at all. The only way now was to quickly take away the spiritual pressure, spiritual energy in this place. When the time came, he would establish a space-breaking divine array to leave this place. Otherwise, there was no other way. Rumble. Li Lingtian did not know how much time had passed, but he could no longer remember. Because he had been absorbing the spiritual energy and pressure at a faster speed, he had completely forgotten the time. The spiritual pressure continued to enter the divine dragon ring. At this moment, a destructive roar sounded. Li Lingtian's body swayed in the air as a look of horror appeared in his eyes. This shocked expression turned into excitement, because in the distance, there were actually 3 huge mountains. 3 huge mountains were nothing, but the main thing was that these 3 mountains were filled with 5-colored spiritual energy. 5-colored spirit stones, Spirit Stone Mountain Range. In other words, the 3 mountain peaks were formed by spirit stones. The 3 spirit stone mountain peaks were 100 meters tall and 10,000 meters wide. They looked huge but exquisite. The destructive spiritual pressure was emitted from the 3 spiritual mountains, and there was a mysterious connection between the 3 spiritual mountains. Loyalty was a seal, and the seal connected the 3 spiritual mountains together. The seal carried a mysterious and destructive pressure. Even though Li Lingtian was well informed, he had no impression of the spirit mountain and the seal. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. The terrifying spiritual pressure and the terrifying rumbling sound were like the wrath of the gods. Li Lingtian seemed insignificant in the face of the destructive roar. In front of Spirited Mountain, he was like an ant. This feeling made him feel uncomfortable and unconvinced. Freezing Sky Altar. Li Lingtian activated his divine consciousness and summoned the Freezing Sky Altar. However, the look on his face turned even more unsightly after he summoned the Freezing Sky Altar. He could not control the Freezing Sky Altar at all. It would be strenuous even if he were to summon the Detective God from the Divine Dragon Ring. The Freezing Sky God Altar was extremely powerful. It could withstand terrifying pressure and attacks. It was also a destructive treasure. A mountain-like Freezing Sky God Altar appeared in front of him and finally blocked the destructive spiritual pressure. However, the Freezing Sky God Altar continued to tremble. Li Lingtian was beyond shocked. The Freezing Sky Altar weighed billions of pounds. Even a martial god would be crushed to death. There was nothing that could destroy or shake it. However, at this moment it was shaken by the spiritual pressure. One could imagine how powerful this spiritual pressure and spiritual mountain were. After finishing everything, he finally had the time and opportunity to explore the spiritual mountain in front of him. The spirit mountains were all triangular in shape. They were completely neat peaks without any cracks. In other words, these 3 spirit mountains were all carved from complete spirit stones. He did not know who was so generous or who had such powerful means to actually create such a large 3 spiritual mountains. The spirit mountain was shocked. The main thing was that the seal between the spirit mountains was mysterious. He did not know what kind of cultivation technique or skill it was. A mysterious symbol appeared on the seal. Li Lingtian felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity when he saw the symbol. However, he could not remember where he had seen this symbol before. It was unfamiliar but had a hint of familiarity. He did not know when he had seen it before. What a powerful seal! What a terrifying spiritual mountain! It seems that as long as I break this seal and move the spiritual mountain away, I can leave this place. Li Lingtian's eyes were filled with shock. Based on his Array Dao cultivation, he could imagine that he would be able to leave this place as long as he moved away this spirited mountain. However, before he could shake the spirit mountain, he had to break that seal. That seal wasn't an array formation. He didn't know if it was a divine power or some strange method. It was so easy to break it. Even if he wanted to break the array, he had to first understand the construction and origin of this array. Moreover, he was going to break this mysterious seal. If he was not careful, he might even be suppressed here or even destroyed. Chapter 748. Breaking through the Yin River 1. Li Lingtian fell into deep thought as he looked at the 3 spirited mountains and the seal between them. This place might be the key to leaving the Yin River, or perhaps the only way out. He had to think of a way to get rid of the spiritual mountains. He had moved the Freezing Sky God Altar away in the past. The weight of these 3 spiritual mountains was probably not much different from the Freezing Sky God Altar. However, there was a seal between the 3 spiritual mountains. If he wanted to move the spiritual mountains, he had to get rid of this seal. He didn't know where the seal came from, so he couldn't move it away even if he wanted to. Could it be that this seal is the Great Bright King seal, the immovable golden body seal? Li Lingtian thought of all the mudras in his mind, but none of them resembled this one. Just as he was feeling depressed, he thought of the underworld's Deneng de Ming Wang. The Great Bright King was an elite of the netherworld, and also an elite of the upper realm. This person was the most mysterious person in the 3 middle realms in his previous life. He was both the netherworld and the mortal world. His cultivation base was extremely terrifying. Even in the upper realm, he was a supreme existence. In Li Lingtian's previous life, he was aware of the existence of the Great Bright Lord. However, the distance between the two was too far apart and they had no interaction at all. He thought about how the Great Bright Lord was from the underworld and the human realm, and how they were now in the Yin River. The appearance of such a seal and spiritual mountain reminded him of the Great Bright Lord's immovable golden body seal. The immovable golden body seal was known to be a powerful divine power that surpassed the saint tier. Its power was heaven-defying, powerful, and incomparably magical. It had already surpassed the scope of strength. If it was really this immovable golden body seal, then he would really be in trouble this time. The great bright lord's cultivation was remarkable, and his methods were equally shocking. Even if this seal was cast by him countless years ago, it would not be so easy to break it now. I didn't expect it to be the immovable golden body seal. Li Lingtian was hoping that the Dermic seal did not belong to the great Maharaja. However, after thinking for a long time, he could only attribute this seal to the great bright king. Only the great bright king had such a heaven-defying seal. The thing he was most worried about had happened. It was simply impossible to break this seal. Next, Li Lingtian collected all the spirit chi and spirit pressure around the spirited mountain. In the end, he floated in the air and looked at the spirit mountain. That was because the Ain River water that could destroy the world had shot into the sky behind him. Just like the Yellow River bursting its banks, the entire Ain River had found a breakthrough. At the same time, he saw 6 or 7 figures in his eyes. 5 of them could not be more familiar. There were 5 experts from Yunfeng Villa, and he didn't know 2 of them. It seemed that they were together. However, at this moment, the destructive Ain River water appeared, causing the expressions of the 7 supreme experts to change drastically. They became extremely terrifying. Rumble, 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 rumble. The endless mountain range before him was being flooded by the Ain River water. Wherever the pitch-black Ain River water passed, everything was destroyed and eroded. Immovable golden body seal. Li Lingtian's expression changed drastically as he looked at the 5 powerhouses. At the same time, a murderous intent rose in his heart. He forcefully controlled the immovable golden body mudra and directed the 3 spirit mountains to bombard the 9th firmament martial saint powerhouses. Borrowing the impact of the spirited mountain, he adjusted his direction. The destructive power pressed down like the might of heaven. Screams of agony continued to ring out as the halo above spirited mountain trembled. More blood trickled down Li Lingtian's lips. At this moment, the spirit mountain also quickly became smaller. In the blink of an eye, it had shrunk to the size of a palm. Li Lingtian's expression changed when he saw this. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed at the 3 spirit mountains from afar. The 3 spiritual mountains returned to his hand. When he looked at the few super experts, his expression was even more shocked. Of the 7 supreme experts, only 4 were left. 3 of them had already vanished into thin air, and the remaining 4 were all pseudo-martial god experts. However, they had also suffered heavy injuries. He did not expect that the power of the 3 spirit mountains would actually crush and destroy 3 9th heavenly level martial saints. Moreover, he had yet to control this spirit mountain or the immovable golden body seal. If he could control these 2 things, he did not know how powerful they would be. He floated in the air, dragging 3 spiritual mountains with him. His expression slowly calmed down. Looking down, the mountain range of 1,000,000 miles was quickly submerged. Countless experts and geniuses were quickly drowned and died. Originally, this bit of power was nothing, but the corrosive power of the Ain River water was not something that any expert could resist. Swoosh, swoosh. Hundreds of martial saints and martial emperors had already flown into the sky. These experts were all geniuses of the Yunfeng Villa. They had sensed the Ain River the moment it appeared and escaped the calamity of destruction. Chapter 749. Heaven-destroying sword formation void. The water of the Ain River instantly flooded thousands of miles. The entire Yunfeng Villa had disappeared. Not to mention the Yunfeng Villa, even the Yunfeng mountain range had disappeared. The backing of the Great Shang Kingdom had never thought that it would be destroyed by the Ain River. All of this came from this white-robed young man. The 4 pseudo-martial god powerhouses and hundreds of super powerhouses glared at Li Lingtian with rage on their faces. The towering rage from his body seemed to want to tear Li Lingtian apart. It should be known that Yun Peak Villa and Yun Peak Mountain Range were the foundation of the Yun family. Everything was here, but everything was destroyed in an instant. How could they endure it? The destruction of the Yun Peak Villa meant that there would be a change of dynasty in Great Shang. Even if there wasn't a change of dynasty, the royal family of Great Shang wouldn't be as strong as before. In fact, before the Freedom King dynasty could attack, Great Shang would start a massacre. However, they wouldn't blame him for all of this. They wouldn't blame him for the mistake. If it weren't for the fact that Yunfeng Villa gathered all the alchemists to refine the reincarnation pill and didn't seek death themselves, Yunfeng Villa wouldn't have been destroyed now. If they had not provoked Li Lingtian, he would not have destroyed Yunfeng Villa with the Yin River. Li Lingtian, you destroyed 100,000 disciples of Yunfeng Villa. Even if I die today, I'll turn you into ashes. Yun Longya's expression was extremely ugly, and his eyes were bloodshot. He had never thought that his Yun family, which was at the height of its power, would actually become like this in an instant. Originally, Yun Peak Villa wanted to unify the Xian continent. However, with the current situation, it would be very difficult to even protect the Great Shang Kingdom, let alone unify the Xian continent. Haha, your Yunfeng Villa is courting death. You imprisoned and absorbed the cultivation base and life force of countless experts in order to refine the reincarnation pill. In order to refine the reincarnation pill and become a martial god, you have lost all conscience. If you didn't go against me, would I destroy your Yunfeng Villa? I don't want to waste time with you. Since you want to kill me, then show me your true ability, lest you regret it later. Li Lingtian looked at the martial emperor and martial saint powerhouses around him with a sharp gaze. Wherever his gaze passed, all the experts lowered their heads. This gaze was as sharp as a sword. Since Yunfeng Villa was so shameless, he wouldn't be polite. When he spoke, his voice was like a dragon's roar. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura around his entire body soared, and he had the aura to fight against all the experts in the world. This boldness and aura immediately shocked countless experts. His aura soared to the extreme, and the heavenly fiend region once again displayed it. He waved his hands in the air, and a stream of light flashed between his eyebrows. 3 extremely exquisite small swords appeared in front of him. Each of the 3 small swords was only an inch long. However, the 3 small swords emitted a heaven-defying aura. This was the pressure of a saint weapon, the pressure of a supreme saint weapon. The pressure of a single super supreme grade saint weapon was enough to make martial emperors and martial saints feel a strong suppression. With 3 terrifying super supreme grade saint weapons together, the pressure was no longer as simple as 1 + 1 + 1. Moreover, the 3 supreme saint weapons were heavenly swords. They were one heavenly sword. Now that Li Lingtian had nourished and refined them together, they had a deep connection with each other. Their power was also several times stronger. He understood that if he continued to hide, he would die without a complete corpse in the face of the destructive attacks of 4 pseudo-martial god experts and hundreds of super experts of the Yun family. Any one of the 4 pseudo-martial god realm experts could crush him to death. Other techniques were useless. Only his trump cards could fight against the 4 fake martial gods. If even these trump cards could not deal with the 4 fake martial gods, then he would be waiting to die. He completely ignored the other martial saints and martial emperors. As long as he killed the fake martial god, these martial emperors and martial saints could be killed easily. Metal Daoin tint. Li Lingtian looked at the 3 exquisite swords in front of him with a serious expression as a smile appeared on his face. When he looked at the small sword, it was as if he was looking at his own family and friends. Then his aura changed, and a destructive metal will erupted. When the will of the great path of metal erupted, all the powerhouses reacted. They unleashed their powerful attacks and stared at Li Lingtian in horror, as they felt the destructive will in the air. However, at this moment, the 3 heavenly swords in front of Li Lingtian had already reverted to their original form. They hovered in front of him and the terrifying pressure was even stronger. Heaven-destroying sword formation. 3 swords combined into 1. Void destruction. Li Lingtian's eyes gradually turned cold. The 3 heavenly swords burst forth with a shocking sword will. At the moment the sword will burst forth, the 3 heavenly swords strangely merged together. The 3 heavenly swords merged together, and a terrifying pressure and sword will soared into the sky. Li Lingtian grabbed the combined heavenly sword with one hand and a devastating sword ray shot into the distance. This was the direction of the 4 people from Cloud Dragon Cliff. The 4 false martial gods were the most terrifying opponents. He didn't dare to use any other moves and could only use Void Destruction. Void Destruction was the 4th move of the heaven-destroying sword formation. It was also a divine power that surpassed the top-notch Saint tier. It had even surpassed the Saint tier. If he couldn't even defeat a few experts with this move, he didn't have much hope. Fighting with such a pseudo-martial god expert would either destroy the world or wait to die. After all, if a pseudo-martial god expert were to attack, he would not even have the chance to use his ultimate move. Moreover, the other party was a few pseudo-martial god experts and hundreds of martial emperors and martial saints. These people could completely restrain his ultimate move. Now, when these people were unprepared, he used his most powerful move, which exceeded everyone's imagination. Boom! In the air a halo exploded. At first, the halo was only a dot, but in an instant, this dot seemed to have been detonated. Instantly, the area within a radius of 1,000 miles was enveloped in this halo. All the experts were trapped in this halo. Li Lingtian's body flashed as he looked down coldly before he flew into the void. The moment he left, a treasure chest sounded and a halo exploded. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Wherever the halo passed, destruction would follow. The halo was like a black hole that devoured the lives of experts. It even devoured everything in the void. The void was completely destroyed at this moment. Hundreds of martial emperors and martial saints were devoured in an instant, turning into nothingness and completely disappearing from this world. The 4 pseudo-martial gods were suffering from the tearing of the void destruction. Their faces were filled with agony and their eyes were filled with horror and despair. They never expected that Li Lingtian would not only defy the heavens, but also master such a terrifying divine ability. Limitless Nine technique. At this moment, Yun Longya's expression hardened as he glanced at the other 3 pseudo-martial gods. The 4 of them looked at each other and nodded. Then the true essence in their bodies reversed. At this moment, a destructive profound yin qi appeared in the air. The entire destructive space was filled with yin qi. In the blink of an eye a gray light appeared. After this light appeared, it immediately blocked the power of the void destruction. An elite of the netherworld. Li Lingtian was shocked when he saw the cultivation techniques of Yun Longya's group of 4. He did not expect the powerhouses from Yunfeng Villa to cultivate the underworld's cultivation techniques. At the same time, he could tell from the auras of the 4 of them that these fellows from the Yunfeng Villa were experts from the netherworld. However, they had always hidden themselves very well, so it was impossible to tell. No wonder they dared to use the cultivation and vitality of martial artists to refine the reincarnation pill. It turned out that they did not take human lives seriously at all. In the air, the entire space was filled with destruction. The 2 destructive attacks were in a stalemate. The power of the void destruction was heaven-defying, and it had already surpassed the divine arts of the divine martial continent. However, the few powerhouses before him were pseudo-martial god realm experts with terrifying strength. Furthermore, they were working together. It was a feat for Li Lingtian to be able to hold them off with his void destruction. The destructive void continued to devour everything between heaven and earth, but only the cultivation technique halo cast by Yun Longya, and the other 3 could not devour it. Li Lingtian did not feel the slightest bit of melancholy as he observed the situation. He circulated the only bit of true essence in his body, devouring light. With a flick of his consciousness, he unleashed the devouring light. Because at this moment, his Zhen Yuan was almost exhausted, it was impossible to recover his Zhen Yuan with the heaven-defying pill. The only thing he could use was the devouring light, which could devour spiritual qi and turn it into Zhen Yuan. The destructive aura quickly transformed into true essence, and the true essence in his body quickly recovered. Tyrannical blade art. Desolate 10 consecutive slashes. True essence recovered, and the true essence in his entire body reached its peak. However, the true essence at this time was not his own true essence at all. If it stayed in his dantian for too long, it would be imprinted. The aura of his entire body skyrocketed, and the heavenly extreme tyrant emperor saber appeared in his hand. He circulated his divine sense and executed the heavenly extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber. The first move of the Tyrant Saber art, Desolate 10 consecutive strikes, was also unleashed to the extreme at this moment. The 10 saber rays slashed down as if they ignored the distance between them. However, these 10 saber rays were no longer together like before. Now the 10 saber rays were completely separated as they bombarded the 4 pseudo-martial god experts. His cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level martial emperor realm. His strength had reached an extreme. When he used this move again, its power was countless times stronger than before. Moreover, the power of the divine artifact was fully unleashed at this moment. The power of a divine artifact was indestructible. As long as the opponent was not a divine artifact, they would not be able to withstand the divine artifact's attack pressure. Chapter 750. Yunfeng Villa. Destruction. The 10 saber rays fiercely slashed at the 4 people's halos. Gotcha! With a crisp sound, the halo was destroyed by the saber light. The 10 saber lights intersected in the air. The crisscrossing saber light was like a saber net, and it carried waves of destructive saber intent. Wherever the saber intent passed, the 4 super experts were turned into pieces. Without the slightest scream, the 4 false martial god realm experts vanished into thin air. The air was filled with the aura of destruction, and the saber light also disappeared at this time. Li Lingshan's body swayed as a smile appeared on his lips. At the same time he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ever since he succeeded in refining the pill, his true essence had been constantly consumed. He had fought with a few experts and suffered heavy injuries before entering the Yin River. He found an exit in the Yin River and used Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. Later on, he was injured by the immovable golden body Madra and subdued 3 spirit mountains. After he came out, he used Void Destruction. Now he was even more injured. This time his injuries were more serious than before. He activated the Divine Dragon Ring with his divine consciousness. Whitey appeared in front of him. It then conjured a spaceship and flew away quickly with Li Lingtian. Longda and the others had also appeared at that moment. They had been standing not too far away from Yunfeng Villa and witnessed the changes there. By the time they arrived, Li Lingtian had already ended the battle. Longda and the rest caught up to Li Lingshan's spaceship and boarded it to pilot it. Xiaobai could now take care of Li Lingtian. "Brother, why are your injuries so serious?" Xiaobai sat beside Li Lingtian and asked with concern. She reached out to take out a silk handkerchief and wiped the blood off Li Lingshan's mouth before looking at him. "I've encountered a few fake martial gods." Li Lingtian gave a simple explanation before he began to heal his injuries. At this point in time he could not afford to ignore his injuries. Otherwise there would be repercussions for his cultivation. Little White did not ask any more questions. It stood guard by Li Lingshan's side and did not allow anyone to disturb Li Lingshan's healing. The flying ship flew at high speed and in a day, they had already left the borders of the Great Shang Kingdom. The Great Shang Kingdom was in chaos. The Yunfeng Villa had been submerged. The entire Yunfeng Villa had disappeared into the Yin River, forming the Yin River. The Yun Peak mountain range also disappeared, and all the experts died inside. No one knew what had happened to Yunfeng Villa. They all thought that the Yin River had drowned Yunfeng Villa, causing all the experts of Yunfeng Villa to die. The Yunfeng Villa was the backing of the Great Shang royal family. Now that the Yunfeng Villa was gone, some of the families with ambitions towards the Great Shang Kingdom had already started to stir. For a moment, the Great Shang Kingdom was in turmoil. However, although countless experts did not know about the Yun Peak Villa, there were a few experts in the royal family of the Great Shang Kingdom who knew. There were a total of 9 Fifth Sky Martial Saints in Yunfeng Villa. 7 of them stayed in Yunfeng Villa, and 2 of them guarded the palace. There were also a few 7th or 8th Firmament Martial Saint powerhouses in the palace. Naturally, they were well aware of the incident at Yunfeng Villa. Naturally, they knew that Li Lingtian was the one who caused the destruction of Yunfeng Villa. 7th uncle, 9th uncle, Yunfeng Villa is gone. Are we just going to sit here and wait for the other families to bully us? The king of Great Shang Yun Aoting had an anxious expression on his face. Ever since the Yun Peak Villa was submerged, he had never felt at ease. He knew how important Yun Peak Villa was to Great Shang. Without Great Shang, the Yun family would never be able to gain a foothold in Great Shang. Moreover, even if they managed to gain a foothold, the strength of Great Shang would decline. We don't have to worry about Great Shang. The main problem is the Carefree Empire. Li Lingtian from the Carefree Empire is too terrifying. He was the one who caused this incident. I never expected a martial emperor powerhouse to be so powerful. Right now, although the Carefree Empire hasn't made a move, it's because they are waiting for an opportunity. Our Great Shang Kingdom is their opportunity. He has obtained the Grade 8 Spirit Concentration Pill formula and the Reincarnation Pill. We simply can't do anything about it. The only way is to snatch the Reincarnation Pill back while Li Lingtian is injured. Well, cultivate in secret and wait for a comeback. Cloudsky's expression was also extremely ugly. One had to know that he was also a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. As long as he obtained the Reincarnation Pill, he would have a chance to become a martial god. He did not expect such an unforeseen event to happen midway. Not only did he not get the Reincarnation Pill, but he also lost Yunfeng Villa. Yunfeng Villa was his main family, but now he didn't even have a home. Naturally, he was unhappy. However, when he thought about how Li Lingtian had single-handedly killed several powerhouses of the same generation, he felt a sense of dread. His cultivation was among the last few people in the Yun family. Even a pseudo-martial god powerhouse was killed. As a 9th firmament martial saint, he could not think of any chance to fight Li Lingtian. However, if he could obtain the reincarnation elixir and attain the martial god realm with it, he would be able to kill Li Lingtian. Abandon the Great Shang Kingdom. However, how difficult is it to get the Reincarnation Pill from Li Lingtian? When Cloud Dream City heard Cloudsky's words, they understood that Cloudsky wanted to give up on the Great Shang Kingdom. Furthermore, he wanted to fight for the Reincarnation Pill. Wasn't this like pulling teeth from a tiger's mouth? Li Lingtian had even killed a few super powerhouses, so what else could the two of them do? This was simply impossible, and this method would not work. Li Lingtian's injuries have worsened. He doesn't have the ability to fight anymore. There's no 7th heaven martial saint powerhouse in the Freedom King dynasty, let alone a martial saint 8-9. As long as we send an 8th heaven martial saint powerhouse over, will you be able to snatch the Reincarnation Pill from Li Lingtian? If we miss this opportunity, we can forget about it in the future. Moreover, if we don't give up now, Great Shang will be attacked. In the future, we won't even have a chance to rise again. As Yunxiao spoke slowly, his expression gradually calmed down. However, his eyes were filled with a deep murderous intent. His hatred for Li Lingtian had seeped into his bones. Yes, this idea is feasible. However, Li Lingtian has left Great Shang a long time ago. If we were to pursue him, we would never be able to catch up. How about this? The two of us will use the 9 heavens and 10 earths grand magic to kill him before he returns to the Carefree dynasty. After he returns to the Carefree dynasty, even if the Carefree dynasty doesn't have any super warriors, the Carefree dynasty has the super war god. We want dare to fight against this mysterious war god. Yun Mengcheng pondered for a long time before finally speaking his mind. Yun Aoting had been listening from the side. Although he was the king in front of the super strong warriors of the Yun family, he was just a junior at the first sky of the martial saint realm. At this moment, only the elders could make the decision. Li Lingtian's appearance was an unforeseen event in Xianzhou. Great Shang was ambitious and wanted to unify Xianzhou. However, they never expected Li Lingtian's appearance to cause such a change. Yun Peak Villa had no choice but to take action in advance to prevent Li Lingtian's Carefree dynasty from attacking. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian to come to Yun Peak Villa. The pill was successfully refined, but Li Lingtian had destroyed Yunfeng Villa and all its powerhouses. In less than a day, most of the kingdoms and experts in the entire Mystic Moon Empire knew about what had happened at the Yun Peak Villa. When they received this news, they were all extremely shocked. Although no one knew that it was Li Lingtian who did it, the world's trade wall was airtight. Soon, the incident of Yunfeng Villa being submerged was linked to Li Lingtian from Freedom King dynasty. Furthermore, Li Lingtian's whereabouts were dug up. Li Lingshan's reputation spread from the Carefree Empire to the entire Mystic Moon Empire. Initially, it was thought that Li Lingtian had established the Carefree dynasty by luck. However, it seemed that Li Lingshan's abilities were heaven-defying. The person who was feared by all the experts was currently recuperating on the spaceship. Tang Qingyue and the others were also recuperating in the Divine Dragon Ring. Although the 5 super experts who had joined forces to attack the Yunfeng Villa in the main hall were not seriously injured, they were still shaken and did not dare to be careless. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. The spaceship had already entered the 100 Spirit Kingdoms territory. Tang Qingyue and the rest were summoned out of the Divine Dragon Ring by Li Lingtian. His injuries had stabilized for the time being. If he wanted to recover, he had to do dual cultivation with Tang Qingyue and the others. Otherwise, it would take at least a year or 2 to fully recover. The main reason was that the opponent they encountered this time was too powerful. If it was anyone else, they would have died countless times. Blue Moon, help me heal. Li Lingtian waited for Tang Qingyue and the others to come out before he spoke. Huang Fuyuyan, Tang Qingyue, and the rest did not say anything. They merely nodded and sat around Li Lingtian, unleashing their powerful true essence. Both of them had practiced dual cultivation before, and had helped Li Lingtian heal quite a few times. Naturally, they were familiar with each other. The 5 mystical streams of true essence began to circulate and slowly merged together. Xianyuan Yingying's true essence was infused with the 5 elements Tao Will. The 6 streams of true essence swirled and surged toward Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian closed his eyes slightly and absorbed the surging true essence into his body. After the vital essence circulated in her body, it left her Dantian and returned to Huang Fuyuyan's Dantian. Tang Qingyue, Shun Mei Tang Ziming and Qing Ling followed behind. Finally, the vital essence entered Xianyuan Yingying's Dantian. For a moment, the true essence continued to circulate in the 7 people's bodies. Li Lingshan's injuries were slowly recovering while Huang Fuyuyan and the rest's cultivation base was also improving rapidly. Every time they did dual cultivation or helped Li Lingtian heal, their cultivation base would improve rapidly. Realizing this benefit, they were basically cultivating together. Even without Li Lingtian, they could still use each other's true essence. This way, their cultivation speed was several times faster than before. Chapter 751. Interception 1, Boom. Just as Li Lingtian and the rest were healing themselves, a dull thud was heard. Although this spaceship was an ordinary spaceship, it was not easy for ordinary demon beasts and experts to shake it. Unexpectedly, the spaceship shook as if it had crashed into a mountain range. Li Lingtian and the rest were interrupted in their recuperation. Although it didn't affect them much, they were still unhappy to be interrupted like this. Immediately, the few of them stopped their cultivation. Under such circumstances, it was naturally impossible for them to recuperate in peace. Let's go out and take a look. After Li Lingtian finished his cultivation, he spoke to Huang Fuyuyan and the rest with a faint smile on his face. However, Huang Fuyuyan and the rest understood that there was a murderous intent behind Li Lingshan's smile. Huang Fuyuyan and the rest nodded with a smile on their faces. However, the smile was genuine. In their opinion, no one was Li Lingshan's match in these places. At this moment, the spaceship stopped and floated steadily in the air. Longda stood on the spaceship and looked into the distance. He saw a huge mountain range 10 miles away. The mountain range appeared out of thin air. The flying ship was too fast to react in time and directly crashed into the mountain range. Fortunately, Longda's cultivation was deep. He used a powerful method to move the flying ship away at the moment of impact. This way, the flying ship was not destroyed. However, it caused a powerful vibration, and the spaceship quickly retreated 10 miles. However, Yuneotian and Tianqingzi were meditating on the flying ship. There was no movement at all because they would not display their cultivation under normal circumstances. Young master. Longda greeted Li Lingtian respectfully when he saw him. What happened? Li Lingtian looked at the mountain range in the distance and asked Longda in confusion. It seemed like the spaceship had crashed into the mountain range or else there would not be such a huge commotion. Young master, this mountain range fell from the sky. The flying ship couldn't dodge it in time and hit it. Long Da did not dare to hesitate when he heard Li Lingshan's question. He immediately told him what had just happened. Oh! Li Lingshan's expression was initially calm, but it was laced with anger and murderous intent. However, after coming out and not finding any experts, the killing intent in his heart disappeared. However, when he heard Long Da's words, he immediately became solemn. The killing intent in his heart surged again because such a thing was nothing more than a super expert being around. Only a super expert would have such a heaven-defying method to move the mountain range to attack the flying ship. Even he did not see an expert when he came out. This expert's cultivation must be extremely powerful, or it could be said that his control over space had reached a terrifying level. Even if such an expert's cultivation was not strong, it was still quite troublesome to deal with. With a flick of his divine perception, he began to scan the area ahead of him. However, he did not find anything. The more he did so, the more curious Li Lingtian became. Humph! With a cold snort, his aura soared and a strange aura spread out. At the same time his aura changed as well. 3 exquisite lotus-shaped runes appeared between his eyebrows, making him look extremely demonic. A blood-red light shot out from the rune. The blood-red light was like a corporeal eye. In the blink of an eye, Li Lingtian discovered 2 elderly men in their 50s in his divine consciousness, one in green and the other in black. With his powerful divine sense, he could see through the hiding place of the 2 of them at a glance and also see through their cultivation. 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. It's a pity that you haven't reached the level of a pseudo-martial god yet. With such a cultivation base, you still dare to seek death in front of me. I can't help but admire your courage. Come out. Li Lingtian said calmly as he looked at the 2 powerhouses in the sky. His face revealed a disdainful expression. Even if he had not recovered from his injuries, it was still nothing to 2 9th heavenly layer martial saints. Moreover, there were 2 9th heavenly level super martial saints who had obtained the ancient inheritance by his side. In the same batch, it was very easy for the 9th heavenly level martial saints who had obtained the inheritance to kill the other 9th heavenly level supreme martial saints. He did not even need to make a move to kill these 2 experts in the air. When he spoke, the disdainful expression on his face made the 2 martial saints in the air almost vomit blood. Swoosh! Swoosh! The air trembled as 2 experts appeared in the air. Yunmeng Chang and Yunxiao looked at Li Lingshan's spaceship before shifting their gaze to Li Lingtian with a puzzled expression. Li Lingtian was younger than they had expected, and he was also a 9th level martial emperor. This cultivation realm was not something that a warrior in his 20s could achieve. Even the number 1 genius of the Black Continent had not reached the martial emperor realm at the age of 20. He did not expect Li Lingtian to become a 9th level martial emperor in his 20s. What was even more terrifying was that Li Lingshan's cultivation base was unmatched among the martial emperors. Even a martial saint was killed in an instant. If it was not a martial saint at the 8th or 9th heaven, the other martial saints would basically be killed in an instant. What kind of terrifying existence was this? Li Lingshan's injuries were so severe that he did not have the strength to fight. However, why was he so confident? Could it be the few Supreme Realm girls beside him? It was still that tall martial emperor powerhouse. Even the 2 people on the plank were at the martial Supreme Realm. Li Lingtian did not have any trump cards or abilities left. Could it be that Li Lingtian was pretending to be strong? Otherwise, Li Lingtian would not have any advantage at all. Li Lingtian, I'm sure you've prepared yourself for the price of destroying my Yunfeng villa. I won't lie in front of the immortal. Your cultivation is not bad, but after you're injured, what are your chances of winning? We won't argue with you about the Yunfeng villa now, but you must hand over the reincarnation pill. Otherwise, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to leave here today. Cloudsky's expression was calm, but monstrous waves surged in his heart. Li Lingshan's reputation was well known. Furthermore, he had just killed a powerhouse from his Yunfeng villa. His strength was extremely terrifying. They were already traumatized. If not for the reincarnation pills, they would not have dared to stop Li Lingtian. Haha, ignorant. Li Lingtian looked at the 2 of them with disdain. He actually came to test him at this time and even planned to take back the reincarnation pill. Was this not a joke? Get lost. Longda noticed that Li Lingtian was silent and understood that Li Lingtian was enraged. If he did not leave, he would kill the two powerhouses. Now that Li Lingtian was injured, he did not want to fight or cause any trouble on the way. He did not want to fight with the two powerhouses either. However, with Yun Aotian and the other two by his side, he could test their cultivation strength. It seemed like he wanted the two of them to leave, but this word angered the two martial saints. Damn it! Li Lingtian, I'll tear you into pieces today. When Yun Mengcheng saw Li Lingtian's disdainful look, his anger was already soaring. However, he did not expect that one of Li Lingtian's subordinates would insult them in such a manner. He couldn't hold it in any longer. The aura around his body soared, and the pressure of destruction soared into the sky. A destructive pressure rushed towards the spaceship with might. The air trembled and the air was constantly distorted. You're courting death. Li Lingtian did not move at all as he watched the devastating pressure coming at him. Yun Mengcheng and Yun Xiao looked at Li Lingtian and the others and thought that they would not stand a chance to resist. Seeing this, their expressions turned cruel. As long as the pressure landed on the spaceship, it would suppress the few martial emperors and Li Lingtian. That way Li Lingtian could be easily killed. However, before they could finish their joy, their expressions turned ugly. Tian Chengzi, who was meditating on the flying ship, coldly shouted. He waved his hand casually, and a faint aura welcomed the pressure from afar. It seemed like a casual wave, but this faintly discernible aura directly blocked the terrifying pressure and aura. Boom! With a muffled sound, the power and pressure disappeared, and so did Tian Chengzi's aura. Tian Chengzi stood up. His expression remained unchanged as he looked coldly at Yun Mengcheng and Cloud Sky. Who are you? Yun Mengcheng's body swayed, and he retreated 100 meters before stopping. He did not expect that his attack would be blocked by an unremarkable person and even rebounded. Encountering such a situation, he was instantly shocked to death. Who am I? It's none of your business, but if you provoke my young master, you deserve to die. Tian Chengzi said indifferently. His figure walked forward step by step. Finally, he left the spaceship and strolled in the void. He directly walked towards the other party, his entire person extremely unrestrained. They only stopped when they were 100 meters away from Cloud Dream City, 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. The expression on Yun Mengcheng's face changed drastically because he had seen through Tian Chengzi's cultivation realm. Although his cultivation realm had not reached the level of a pseudo-martial god, he gave off a feeling that he was even more terrifying than a pseudo-martial god. It was beyond their expectations that Li Lingtian had such a subordinate by his side. In Freedom King Dynasty, there were no powerhouses above the 6th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. However, at this moment any random person Li Lingtian picked out was at the peak of the complete 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. Encountering such a thing, they were naturally incomparably shocked. As he spoke, he looked at the other martial emperor who was meditating and cultivating on the plank. Since this person started off as a martial emperor and now became a 9th heavenly layer martial saint, could the other one also be a 9th heavenly layer martial saint? He was hoping that the other one was not a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. They could join forces to kill a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. However, if two 9th heavenly layer martial saints were together, the two of them did not have the slightest confidence in killing the other party. Not to mention killing him, even if he escaped, the chances were not high. After all, this 9th heavenly layer martial saint was even more terrifying than the false martial god. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.